Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Bowtie Movie Lounge. Joining me today is Claire Bertrand, and today we're just doing the Goonies, 1985 Richard Donner film.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why I didn't do that. Richard Donner. You know what else he did?
He's done a couple of things. Didn't he do shoot. I know he did Maverick. I know he did Superman 1, Superman 2, and a couple other
Yeah.
Supermans.
That's what I knew.
Yeah.
Did you see Lady Hawk?
I did not see Lady Hawk. I saw that he did that, but I've never seen it.
It's good. It's really interesting. You should definitely check that one out.
Will do.
Maybe one day we'll do it here.
Maybe.
Yeah, we'll have to do it. Lady Hawk. I remember watching it a long time ago as a kid, and I actually liked it. It was weird.
Okay.
It's got can't think of his name. Ferris Bueller, Matthew Broderick,
Yeah.
and then Michelle Pfeiffer turns into a hawk, and then Ed Harris turns into a wolf.
Yeah, I'm already ready to watch it. Let's
go.
go.
It's actually pretty cool. It's pretty cool.
Let's cut all of this. Let's go watch
Hawk.
it right now.
You know what? That's actually a great idea. Other than becoming a rapping podcast, I think we should do it. Anyway, film we're doing now, The Goonies.
Yes.
Written and directed, well, not written and directed, but written by Chris Columbus and Steven Spielberg.
Mm-hmm.
Film stars Sean Astin, Josh Brolin, Corey Feldman, and a bunch of other star-studded cast. With a $19 million budget and making $125 million at the box office worldwide up to date. This movie has become a major cult classic.
Oh, yeah.
You would agree on that one?
Yes.
I mean, it's pretty apparent.
Yeah.
We'll definitely get into it. But, I mean, this is going to be an exciting episode.
Yes, I'm super excited. I love this movie.
Awesome. Same here. And I'm pretty sure most people do, especially if they clicked on this to watch it. Well, anyway, sit back and relax. We're at the Bowtie Movie Lounge. All right, The Goonies. How excited are you to do it?
I'm so excited. Goonies is literally one of my favorite movies, so.
Okay, so one of your favorite movies. Where does it fall in place on your favorite movie list? I know it's a hard question. I just want to know
I hate that question.
Me too. I know we already talked about this, but like,
hate it.
But okay, so like, say like does it fall into your top 5? Does it fall into your top 10?
I would say probably in top 10, maybe close to top 5. That's the thing. The Goonies is just one of those movies that like it was a part of my childhood.
Yeah.
Always watch it. And like if I'm bored, if I don't know what to watch, I can always turn to it. And in my opinion, that makes one of your favorite movies. Something that you never really get bored of. Like I've seen this 1,000 times.
Yeah.
But I'm still so excited to watch it every single time.
Okay, it's a very rewatchable movie.
Yes.
That I cannot disagree with, because I mean, I watched it today, like before you got here, and I like at the same time it was like still new things that I kind of noticed, or like I kind of did it going into with like a more of a, I guess, critiquing mindset, but then it was also like, I can't critique this. It's too nostalgic.
I felt the same way because, I had like my prompt. I had the questions I wanted to ask. And going through and watching it, I literally I could not. Like, I can't critique it because it's just, it's the Goonies, man. It's the
part
Goonies.
It's part of our childhood, it sounds like. Even though it came out, I mean, at least
a little bit before our time,
15 years before I was 16, before I was even born. Shoot, I probably just gave away what year I was born. TMI. But no, I mean, you're right. It's just, we can't really critique it that hard because it's also like, it's supposed to be like lightly campy 80s movie. You just can't really do that. Yeah. There are a lot of movies where you're just like, all right, that was cheesy. Where in this, kind of felt like they backed that up.
Yeah, even if there is some cheesiness within the movie that I noticed today, in my critique mindset, but like I still couldn't even get mad at it because it's just, the retro good old 80s movie. Like you can't get mad at it.
You just can't.
Yeah.
I know. Okay, so I guess we're on the same track with this.
Nice.
So we don't have a hater in this show for the movie today. Okay, so what are your personal thoughts on it? Like have it, written down. If someone asked you, like, should I watch this movie? How good is it? What would you give them, like, kind of a base answer?
I would say absolutely, yes. I think it's a great movie. And it just makes me really happy.
Mm-hmm.
And who knows, maybe that's because it's part of my childhood. Maybe it's because of the masterpiece that it
Right.
is. But I don't know. It's just something that makes my heart feel full, yet it's also exciting. It has the
Yeah.
adventure aspects in it. And it's a very nice plot to follow. Like, you don't
It
have to
is.
really figure anything out. Like, that's another thing too. I was trying to critique it and find like deeper meanings and bigger questions, but it's just a
Yeah.
very easy movie to watch and enjoy.
Right. No, I could not agree anymore.
Yeah.
I'd say my take on it, pretty much in a nutshell,
Mhm.
is it's just a fun, nostalgic movie.
Yes, yes, yes.
You know,
That's
it's
it.
even though like I wasn't part of the '80s, you know, it still kind of like has that like that almost dated charm.
Yes, absolutely. It makes me feel a part of the 80s. I wasn't
Exactly.
in the 80s, but it makes
No
me
way.
feel like I was there.
Yeah, I mean, there is no way. Like, you know, I was far from the '80s. Like,
Yeah.
our parents were
Yeah, my
kids.
parents were in the 80s, which is why like I am so close to this movie because it was my mom who showed it to me. It was one of her
Right.
favorite movies.
Okay.
So yeah.
I mean, my dad was like, and my mom, they were both like, yeah, we liked it as a kid. They weren't like die
Oh no,
hard
my
and
mom
drooling
loves
over it. So it
this
sounds like
movie.
that's a little difference
Like I
that we
said,
have.
we have 2 DVDs, backup copy and everything. She made sure her kids
So
watch this movie. Like even my little brothers, like they can probably, and they're just turned like 10, like they can quote it too. So
Man,
like it's way ahead of their time, but they still know it and love it just like me, just like my mom.
you all have it like in 4K yet?
Well, we have HBO Max, so
HBO Max?
and it's
So
on
you
HBO Max.
don't need it. You don't
We don't
need
really
it. That
need
is
it,
true.
yeah.
It is on HBO Max. I watched it on just the DVD that's like probably
Really?
like 10 years old.
Really? Yeah, I think our DVDs are a little too scratched up for that.
I was surprised mine even still worked.
Really?
Yeah, especially for a DVD and like in my house. I guess I always scratched them because I used the DVDs so
Yeah,
much.
ours were a little scratched, but that's how you know it's a well-loved movie
Yeah.
if it has the scratches.
It's a good thing that it's scratched, you know, and also, you know, when you go to replace it, it makes them a little more money, I guess. I don't know. So when do you remember when you first watched this movie? Is my opening question.
Oh my goodness. Oh wow. I have no clue. I know I was young though.
You know you were young?
I know I was really, really young because this movie has been in my life for almost as far as I can remember. So probably like, who knows, like 5, 6 years old. I've always watched it.
So around there. I'd say mine when I first watched it, I had to be like 8. Maybe 9 is when like my parents were like, "Oh, wait, we're gonna rent this from when Netflix was still just DVDs."
Really?
DVD
Wow.
rentals. So they're like, "Oh yeah, that's right, the Goonies," and they got it, and like I remember just like loving it, and like we'll get into like all like the sets and everything,
Yes,
you know.
yes.
I just was like, okay, this is
It was just so magical. But like
Yeah.
that's the thing, it wasn't so magical that it was unbelievable. It was magical to the point where like, whoa, like, you know, I could go into my backyard and find treasure.
that's
Like
shoot.
it was so enticing for
Yeah.
a kid.
It's
Yeah.
like I am a part of the Goonies,
Yes, yes.
pretty much. No, wow, I love that. It makes me happy just thinking about that
I
being
know.
part of the
It
Goonies.
makes me so happy.
But yeah, spoiler alerts for anyone who has not seen this film. If you haven't, you know, not being condescending, but like, what are
But,
you
like,
doing
go
with your life?
watch it.
What are you doing with your
If
life?
you haven't seen the Goonies, then I don't know how you're getting by.
Yeah, it's, you know, just don't
I
come
feel
around.
like it's a movie that everyone has
Yeah.
to have seen at least once.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah, exactly.
Even if it's not your favorite.
You know, even though like, you know, we'll get into it a little bit more, but like even as a kid, my parents were like, there's a lot of cussing for, you know, the kids, and like I'd always like kind of watch it like, oh yeah, I mean, I guess there is.
My mom always turned a blind eye because, like,
Oh really?
that's the thing. It was cussing, but it wasn't like overtly cussing.
Yeah.
Like it was just in the few little spots, but that's what makes it so funny. Like nowadays movies, you'll have a cuss word like every 5 minutes.
Right.
My dad always says it's not bad to cuss as long as it's in good taste.
Right.
So like if you're overusing cuss words, sometimes it can be like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
But they use it in the right moments to where it just kills me.
That's true.
It literally kills me. Chunk.
Chunk.
Oh my gosh.
It's
you
like
be
that's
kidding
part of his
me.
character is to be kind of like,
Yes.
you know, the Deadpool character of him.
Yes,
You know,
yes.
he's just like the foul mouth.
It's so good.
He's not mouth, but he's foul mouth.
Yeah.
You know, and like I you know, that's part of his character, and you have to turn. I guess that's a good term to use for our parents is like turning a blind eye to the, especially for this.
Yeah.
No, I mean it's perfect. It's perfect. Synopsis is very straightforward.
Yeah.
A little high school gang
I don't even, are
Middle
they
school,
in
high
high
school?
school? I would say like middle school, maybe going into high school.
That's what I'd say, like 8th grade, but like
Yeah,
also I
8th grade,
think
maybe
freshman,
ninth.
9th,
Yeah.
you know, so like they just find a little treasure map and they are known as the Goonies because they live in the
The
Goondocks
Goondocks,
and
yes.
they, you know, go on a big quest for treasure and One-Eyed Willy's treasure and there's all this and they're being chased by the Fratellis who are serial killers and all types of stuff. But no, let's dive into it, shall we?
All right, yeah, I'm ready.
I love it. Okay, strong opening with a fake suicide for a kids movie.
Yeah. Like watching back a couple of years ago, because like I said, I've always watched this through. I honestly like forgot that was the opening scene. Like when I was a little older, I watched it and I was like, again, like this movie made me so happy. I'm like, that's actually a really strong opening.
Yeah.
Wait a second.
Yeah.
Wait a second. But I mean, with the note, sorry spoilers, but with the note that he has, and when you figure out that it's fake, then it determines that, oh, he's just a bad guy.
Yeah.
Like who fakes a suicide? He's a bad guy.
And then he's escaping. Yeah.
Yeah.
I did not know like what the note said until I really listened and had the subtitles turned on today. And like it was actually funny. It's like, you schmuck.
Yes.
You really think I'd kill myself?
I know. I was like, dang. Okay, got you.
Like that's where it's like it's a setup for he's Italian, like you schmuck.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like it's so like I guess relevant that he's part of an Italian family and they're bad people, you know, and like it already starts with Joey Pants. You know, I love Joey Pantoliano, who plays his brother, and it's Robert Davi, and then shoot, I forget her name, but
it's Anne.
Oh, yeah,
Anne something.
Anne Ramsey.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
Mama
look at
Fratelli.
that! I didn't even have to look at my notes. Wow,
you're so good. She plays she's in Throw Mama from the Train, which is another good movie. But yeah, no, like that whole opening is also very perfect.
Mm-hmm. I love the music of it.
The music
just like it gets you ready. The underlying beat and all of the stuff is happening. It gets you very excited.
Right.
You're not sure what's happening yet, but you're ready to see what's going on.
You already see that they're bad people, but like it's going through this sleepy town and showing you all the kids.
Yeah.
And like it's gonna be a fun movie.
Yeah.
You know?
Absolutely.
With a little touch of like, okay, these people are just bad. It almost has like a Western breakout jail theme. I don't know if you felt the same way, but
yeah, no, I get that. I do.
But yeah, no, I love the opening and just how it kind of gives a little insight to each character, just like a little taste. Like, okay, there's Chunk, you know, smearing his pizza all over the glass.
Oh my gosh, it does set up the characters of the boys. It sets them up great. You know, you see Chunk with his yogurt or drink, whatever it was, milkshake and pizza, and you see Mouth just being himself with his dad. Like, I don't know if he cusses, but you know, you just tell with his hair slicked back and looking in the sink. Like, it sets up his character.
Like, yeah, sure, Dad. You know, he'll talk back to his own dad, so he's like, this is gonna be Mr. Cool.
Yeah.
Slicking his hair back.
You know, with his comb. Yeah.
Yeah, and then you got you got Andy and you got Steph.
Yes, you see the cheerleader on the football field. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it sets up the characters beautifully.
She's a little goofy, almost, and then you see like the kind of like outcastish girlfriend who later comes out.
Which I love that character, and I can't wait to talk about that later.
Oh yeah, she's
I
amazing.
love Steph. She's great.
Steph is great. She's the most relatable.
Yes,
I feel like.
Yes, she is.
You know?
And I was interested to see that when paying closer attention to the opening scene. You do see that she's pulling out a crab or something like out of a bucket. So it shows that she is a little weird, and that did raise some questions. Like, I wonder how they are friends, because you have your popular cheerleader that the popular guy really likes.
Yeah.
Being friends with this person who probably like works for her family for some seafood shop or something like that. So that did raise some interest. Like,
it kind of made it a little more realistic. I feel like because it's it's like very stereotypical to be kind of like the popular girl and then like
versus the more weirder girl.
Yeah, I just feel like that's a little stereotypical.
Yeah. And I love that kind of broke that.
Yeah.
It made me appreciate it. Like, oh, okay, even though she's captain of the cheer squad, she can still be friends with someone who's maybe not as popular.
Very true. So now that's how I saw it. And then who else did it show? It just showed Data.
Oh,
he's there. He almost gets run over.
Yes, he's testing his little invention. And then it shows Rosalita, too.
Oh, yeah, Rosalita. She's just in the middle.
Rosalita, yeah, in the road.
Shows her. That's pretty much it. But it just shows, like, you know, that
it sets it up very nicely.
The bad guys are very capable.
Yeah.
It's like they're a force not to be reckoned with.
But
you
also
know?
that race, just side note, the race in the beginning movie is awesome too.
That
like,
was awesome.
What a good like if I was a criminal, I would never have thought of that. Like, oh, they have a race down at the beach. Let me go blend in right quick.
Do it.
That was kind of genius on their side.
That
Jeep Cherokee kills all the other cars. I don't know if you are paying attention, but that Jeep Cherokee was pushing it.
I know, just the manual, the fact that this old woman can drive manual like
with
that.
With the little pearls and the hat, she was going.
She knew how to do it.
Oh yeah,
driving Miss Daisy right there. But it's a fun way to introduce. But then you get really introduced when all the kids start showing up.
Yes, at the house.
The house.
Yeah.
And like you get like Mikey and you get Brand, who like they're not like the basic like toe-to-toe brothers who just like are always trying to out for each other's throats, and like Brand is actually an older brother who's like, worried about his little brother,
Yeah, and you see that a couple of times within that first little scene, just checking on Mike, make sure he's okay, giving him hugs. It's very sweet.
It is a really good dynamic, and they actually look like brothers too.
Yeah, there you go. Weird. Bonus points.
That they looked different enough, but then they actually look like brothers. I guess with the same hair color, basically. Very
good job,
similar.
casting director. You did it.
Very well done. And then 2 future really good actors too. But no, I mean, do you have any like thoughts on like the how like when they get together at the house?
Not very many thoughts. Again, it just supports their characters. You see Chunk dropping things, you see mouthing off. I will say that is one of my favorite scenes when Rosalita is introduced and he has to translate.
Yeah.
I think that is one of the funniest parts of the movie.
It is.
Because as a kid, again, I've watched this since I was little. So, like, I wouldn't really pay attention to the subtitles. I just could tell by the way, they were acting that he was telling her something that wasn't true, that wasn't being translated by mom. So going back and reading those subtitles are absolutely hilarious.
Very like adult themed and something that adults appreciate.
Yes, very adult themed. And then you can see that in Rosalita's character later when she comes back, the way she reacts to certain things is because she's been told all these other things about, drugs and, sex machines by mouth. It puts her on an edge, and you can see her react to certain things, and it's golden. It's so good.
I remember like later rewatching, like after first watching, same, I would not pay attention to the subtitle. I would just kind of gloss over them. But I remember like going back and I was like a little older, maybe 12 or 13.
Yeah.
Starting to get to know like what, what's actually in the world.
Yeah.
And then saw where he was like talking about, I was like, first saw like speed and cocaine.
Yes, he was like speed in the top drawer, cocaine in the second. Always separate your drugs. I was like,
what in the world is this?
Oh my gosh, it's hilarious.
And I was like, so that's why they call him Mouth, because he'll mouth off to you.
Yeah, he will mouth off to anyone.
I love it. His character, that perfectly shows his character.
Yes, absolutely.
He's a risk taker.
Yes.
And then that like Brand is like, the good older brother leader, and then he's actually like, he's just the older brother. He's
the older brother. Because I was about to say the leader thing. I honestly think a big part of Brand's character is that the fact that he's trying to be as cool as his little brother.
Yeah.
Like, he doesn't want to say it, but like Mikey is cool, bro. And if you pay attention to the scenes, like Mikey will say something and everyone will listen.
Yeah.
Even Andy and Steph, even though they're older, they still pay attention and listen to Mikey. And you actually see Brand like saying, I'm the leader. Oh, I'm the oldest. Almost trying to win that leadership back. Right. But I think he already knows, like, his brother's just that dude. And I think he's like all right with that, because like he's a cool guy.
He really is. I mean, I've always admired Mikey.
Yeah. Because I always had a crush on him when I was little.
You had a crush on him?
I thought he was so cute.
Different story for me, but I was like, this is the kind of dude I would like to be.
Yeah.
I guess I had a little bit of like a little kid man crush on him.
Oh, yeah.
It was kind of like.
It's weird. Like, he has the nerdy aspect of him, but so admirable. Like, he's himself. He doesn't care what anyone thinks.
Yeah.
And he has just this great group of friends and goes on great adventures. Who wouldn't want to be him,
One cool thing I will say is like, I feel like I have a brother who's kind of like him.
Really?
Has like the nerd aspect, and I feel like Brandon this, in like some parts, where I'm like, he's a cool little kid.
He's pretty cool.
He knows who he is.
Yeah.
And
of course,
that.
Brand being the older brother is still gonna mess with him. Your brothers. But I think deep down he knows like this dude's all right. Which is like where you see their connection and that love there, and I think that's awesome.
It's like he's so sure of himself type thing. And so
Again,
that's why
I love breaking the stereotypes. Most movies you just see older brothers fighting, where really you don't see that.
Right.
Here.
And then on stereotypes, Data. I love Data's character. He's
Data's awesome.
He's almost like kind of stereotyped,
Yeah, just a little bit.
I mean, it's the 80s, but like it's done to where like you really like this kid.
You still like him. You love him. He's definitely the nerdiest out of all of them, but like that's what makes him so lovable.
I honestly thought Data was I thought Data was the coolest when I was a kid. I was like, man, this kid's got everything. He's got inventions,
Really? I could never decide between Mouth and Chunk. Those are just my favorites.
Yeah. It was
Chunk's acting is awesome. Like he keeps me cracked up like the entire time. Like not necessarily when they're making fun of him and stuff like that. Like, okay, yeah, some of that can get a little cheesy or repetitive. But like when he's, for example, like talking to the Fratellis and stuff, like it kills me.
Perfect.
His facial expressions
are
great.
We're gonna float on that scene big time.
Oh,
but
yeah.
we can definitely talk about Chunks like as a character and like what he is doing in that scene is just perfect. I mean, he's almost like a college. He has like kind of like that college type humor. I feel
yes.
Where he's just like, I don't know, just something about him feels very mature.
Even though he's doing immature stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Even though he's doing immature acts and just being a stupid kid.
Yeah.
Something about him, just his sense of humor.
Just
it kills. Yes.
Like that's my dad was saying. Even he has to like walk in and like he'll see the scene like I've got to stay for this,
Yes. How could you
I've
walk
overwatched
out on
this movie, but like I've got to come in for this.
It doesn't
scene.
matter. I could watch this movie 1,000 times, and if you turn on that scene, I'm sitting down.
Yeah.
I'm sitting down. I'm taking off my shoes, and I'm paying attention.
And it's that scene.
And that's
it.
Yep.
But just everything he says, he seemed very like it's almost like getting I don't know if he oh shoot, what's that comedian? Can't think of the Boston one. I can't think of his. He's always the angry Bostonian, It's almost like getting him. I don't know why I can't think of his name right now.
I don't know who you're talking about.
He's in The Mandalorian, and he's getting a lot more acting roles, and they're all getting serious. But it's like getting someone like him, or even Pete Davidson, who's known as a comedian. Like this kid, it's Jeff Cohen, right? Who plays
Jeff
Chunk?
Cohen, I believe.
It's like he was all like a comedian way before this.
Yes, he was definitely before his time, and I will give him kudos for that, because a lot of kid actors, if you put them in a very comedic role, they'll overplay it.
Yeah,
they'll overplay it. But
this kid had timing.
He overplays it at all. He had great comedic timing. It was awesome.
And like his facial expressions,
facial, that's actually one of the things I wrote down in the notes, just trying to notice new things.
Yeah.
And there's the scene where he pulls up to the car in the middle of the road and he doesn't realize it's them. If you pay attention, the dude's singing in Italian, but if you look in the back of the scene, you just see Chunk's face. He's
kind of walking away.
He's just going crazy in the back. It is so good. It's so good.
Just replaying that scene in my mind, I'm just like, the kid was good. Jeff Cohen was good.
He was great.
We're definitely gonna get into Jeff Cohen later a little bit more. But I mean, like the Mouth.
Oh yeah.
Corey Feldman, he was the most recognizable out of all the child actors.
Yeah.
But like, he was the most
great. Because if you look at some of his scenes, there are a few times where he does get serious. You see that he's a big shot, and he's always talking. He's talking to all this shit. And there's times where he does break down and is actually sincere. And that's actually, I wrote about that on some of the notable acting. It really touched me, actually.
Yeah.
To see this person who puts on this big front, yet when he breaks it down, it's so real and believable that it was just really nice. That character is very nice.
It was very in-depth. He had a lot of layers.
Yes.
And it was like he thought about this character and was like, look, this character is going to have like an emotional block. But then when that block comes down, it's like you notice
it's so just pure. It's great.
Like an actual little kid who's like, I mean, not little. They're obviously older than you would probably think.
Probably. It's Hollywood. The industry does that.
But I mean, like he still did a good job with like You know, I mean, what I meant by that is like usually like they would be very distinguished middle schoolers.
Yeah.
Whereas this one, they're a little older, you know, and it's like it's very apparent.
Yeah.
You know, I can't remember when. Oh shoot, I should have checked on that, but like I can't remember when Stand By Me was done. Can't remember if it was before or after. But he obviously like put a lot of thought into Mouth. You know, like this kid feels like he has to one up everybody. Basically, he has to be on top. And you see that when he's making Chunk do the truffle shuffle, which was a great scene. But I mean, it's like the same with like, it seems like all of them just put thought into their actual character too.
Yeah.
And to see that in child actors is awesome.
Yeah, there's definitely levels to all the characters. And I think that's why, you know, it is a cult classic because you get to know these characters more and more the more times you watch it. And there's so much depth to them.
Yeah.
At first, you're like, oh, a couple of kids having an adventure. But then you start to notice these things. And that's why, you know, maybe I've grown such a huge love for this movie because I'm really invested into that. And that's awesome.
It is awesome. I mean, it's just thinking about the characters and what the work that they put in is just exciting.
Yeah, that's awesome.
It's really impressive. But man, I mean, spent a lot of good time on these characters, which, you know, is first, you know, that we've done. But no, I mean, then just the way they react
makes this movie.
It's a very character-driven movie.
Characters make this movie.
Very character-driven movie.
Your plot is, you know, pretty simple. It really is the development of the characters and their relationships.
The relationships, which seems like in the 80s, like that's what they were really nailing. I mean, I dropped Stand By Me, but like the relationships within that movie made it. And then, but yeah, this is a very character-driven, you know, relationship between each other and how they react to their situations.
Yeah.
Which they're thrown into a lot of like...
Yeah, you can see whatever situation they're in, you can see how each one reacts a little bit differently.
Right.
Which keeps it so interesting.
It really does.
Again, very diverse, there's lots of depth to it.
There really is. I mean, it does a really good job with just executing that perfectly. But yeah, I mean, shoot, the set, I mean, well, the location, I mean, Astoria, Oregon.
Yeah. In Oregon? Like, this crazy stuff is happening in Oregon?
On the Pacific coast.
Okay, let's go.
I mean, it's like, okay, and then...
Again, like, it really plays to the sleepy town in Oregon.
Right.
All right.
Exactly.
Which was one of my questions about the Fratellis being in jail. I'm like, if you have these, like, killers, why are they in a small county jail? That was one thing I wanted to point out. Like, you look at that county jail, and it's so small, and it's in this very sleepy town. Like, probably a lot does not go in there.
Right.
Why do y'all have serial killers
in the
Let's
jail
move
that's
them
small?
To a bigger prison, guys. More security guards.
And I mean, I guess they were just like, if he did anything, he probably had to like have done like a minor offense to where they're like, he's gonna be in here for like a little bit, but they would definitely move him to like a state penitentiary.
Yeah.
If they're like, we caught the Fratellis.
Yeah.
Also, like they're known for that, you know, being dangerous. They're like, all right, we're transporting you. Maybe they were gonna transport him.
Maybe, and that's what I thought too. I'm like, oh, maybe that was just his holding cell for a little bit.
But
that was one question. I was like, wait.
I mean, I really
come on, cops.
I really didn't think too much about that, but that's a good question raised.
And again, I'm pushing for these questions because again, I've watched this so many times to where I don't really have questions. So watching it in, you know, a critique type mode, I was really trying to search here, like, what can I question?
Really reading it.
I was really trying.
Reading between the lines like no other. I mean, and then of course the Goonies to do that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, so we mentioned before, like just meeting them all in the house.
Yes.
But also like, well, you know, I did want to talk about the part where Chunk knocks over the statue. That was always one of my. That's her favorite piece.
If God made you like that, you'd all be pissing in your face.
And that goes to show like Brand's character a little more. He's like he's the older brother. He's just trying to take care of things, make sure they don't get in trouble.
But he still likes to mess with them. He still likes to mess with them.
He has like that more high school sense of humor. And
I feel like Brand like tries not to care, but like it's obvious that he cares so much. He cares so much.
Thinking about himself, but not in a way where usually you'd see more like thinking about himself.
Yeah.
Or in this, he's actually thinking about them.
Yeah.
A little more, which is pretty good. But I mean, no, I love the part. I love that part.
Oh, it's so good.
And
then the mom walks in.
She walks in. And she's like, what the hell is that? And they're like, oh, what?
Oh, God.
And then she's like, that mess. And it's like,
clean it up right now.
I've actually, like, even watching it today, knowing, I kind of went back to how I first watched it. Like, oh my God, she actually noticed. Like, why am I so scared that she noticed?
Really?
You know, it was kind of like, oh, but then she's like, that
the
mess.
Chips, yeah.
But like, I went back to like when I first watched it. I'm like, why am I so nervous that she found out that they broke her little statue?
Her favorite piece, man.
Her favorite piece.
Her favorite piece.
It's like that's where like a big dilemma arose, and like it was so large that their mom found out that, you know, because it was so believable.
Yeah, it was. It was. Especially with them all freaking out. You know, it got me nervous. I was like, oh, crap.
Yeah.
And then it pans to the chips, and you're like, oh, thank the Lord. Okay, that's good. A relief.
But I guess that's one thing that kind of like, I realized it's like, these are also like little kids, and they're like so like realistic too. There's just like a bunch of different characters and personalities within them that you can relate to them.
Yes.
And so
it doesn't matter who you are, you can find at least one person to relate to in this movie. Which again, I think that's part of why it is called classic. Like, everyone can somewhat relate to it.
To someone in the
somehow.
movie.
Yeah.
So, like, any of the characters, really.
Yeah.
And it's always like, you know, when she notices, it's kind of like, oh, shoot, even though, like, I'm 20 years old, if I were some of my other, like, 20-year-old friends.
If I would, like, knock over my mom's vase, I'd be dead.
Yeah. And it's like, that was, like, a really scary moment for whatever reason. So, it really tugs at, like, your emotions pretty well, I guess.
And you know, we've all been there, like either lost mom something or broken mom something. We've all been there. So it, again, tugs at everyone.
It does, and it's very realistic. It's just weird. But no, I mean, like, I just love that about this.
It is. It's great.
I'm trying to, you know, look at other notes that I have. But I know but yeah, once they get into the attic, we didn't really talk about that. Once they get into the attic and they find all the stuff, that's pretty much where you're strapped in for the ride.
You're like, oh, what's going on here? And that's really where the story jumps off.
It
does. Everything else before that is just set up, getting to know who your characters are, getting to know, like, you know, the state of their town. Once you get to the attic, you're like, oh, we're about to go on a journey.
Exactly. That's where you're basically like, you're like, okay, so here's the plot. The plot's just basically dumped out right there. Put on the table. It's like, you know, then like, we're also going to make you feel like a sense of adventure. Did that to me. I don't know how it does to you.
No, and that's such a great feeling about this movie. Yeah. Is that sense of adventure. It's almost like, I don't know, like a cool wind hitting you. You're like, oh, okay, let's go. Like, it's exciting.
Exactly. And it's like, okay, so this is what we're doing. I want to go find some treasure with these kids. You know, it's like, that's just how it is. Like, I want to be included.
Oh my gosh, if I was invited, I could die a happy woman. Like, if the Goonies invited me to go find treasure with them, oh my goodness, I would cry.
Even if it meant
I would be crying, like going through the caves and lagoons and stuff. I would still be crying the entire time.
Even if it meant going against the Fratellis who are like potentially going to murder you, you know?
Yeah, I'd do it.
You do it? I know. I mean, that's just where it starts right there, the whole adventure.
Yeah.
And it's so cool that they go into this attic, you know? Makes me want to go up into my attic and like, maybe
I
my
wish
parents,
my attic was that cool.
Mine's dedefinitely not. It's just old clothes. And that's it.
Basically, that's it.
Water heater. No, they have like century old, multi-century old like maps and stuff and like
doubloons and pictures and everything.
And like,
because his dad works in a museum, so it's all the stuff from that museum.
It's just so cool to like see that and just to want to be. It makes you really want to be part of the story. And that was the magic that they had worked into it. I mean, that's part of the trick, you know? So you just pretty much disappear from the world and like you're invested.
You're sucked in at that point.
And I think that's genius.
It is.
But I mean, then they trap Brand and they're on their way to the Fratellis.
Which is one of the points where I was talking about where Rosalita walks in and sees him strapped to the chair and she's thinking about the stuff that Mal told him and she's like, oh
she drops everything.
Yes, Rosalita, come out. It's so good.
And then the mom was just kind of a ditz, you know?
Yes, oh, whatever. My child's strapped to a chair. Where's your brother?
Yeah, she's like, where's your hyper, you know, your asthmatic brother. Yeah, that's what I was trying to say. Thank you. But yeah, it's no, that's and then like you get to see a little bit of the mom and kind of appreciate her. Even though she's a little goofy and like I have some things to say about like kind of Spielberg writing. That's where you get to see where Spielberg's writing, like the parents are very dysfunctional. They're very like, the kids are almost smarter than the parents.
Yeah, and that's honestly a big theme of this movie.
Yeah.
Like the kids solve the problem.
Yeah.
The adults don't do anything. It really is about that youthful, adventurous spirit. And even though sometimes that spirit isn't necessarily logical, that's what gets you through the end of the day.
Right.
Yeah.
That's a good way to look at it. I always just like, man, parents are not that dumb. I was always like, come on now.
I think it definitely is just that blissful hope that kids have. As we grow up, that starts to diminish a little bit. We think of everything logical. We're always thinking of money, logically. Work, stuff like that. Yeah, whereas they're optimistic and have hope, and anything can happen if you're optimistic like that.
Yeah, it's like, they do kind of have a little bit like, okay, we have a financial situation on our hands, but we know where to find it. Let's go. Yeah. That's where it is. We got to find this. We don't know what obstacles we're going to overcome. We're just going to take them as they come.
We're just going to go. We're
on an adventure.
Treasure hunt? Oh, my parents are calling it fake? Hell no. We're going to save the town.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's just, it's magical.
It is.
That's the way to just put it. And I don't know. You got to love to, you can't help but to appreciate it.
Yeah, no, it's great. Absolutely love it. I've been like smiling this whole time just thinking about it. Like
Same.
just talking about it, I've been thinking about the movie in my head and my cheeks kind of hurt.
And
I can't help it. I literally cannot help it.
It's just the magic of the movie.
It is.
Magic of the Goonies. But yeah, I mean, like honestly, I was surprised with the fact that they put kids against serial killers. They're not really serial killers. They're more like mob.
Yeah, I guess more mob. Yeah.
But they're killers.
Yeah, they do kill. You see like multiple dead bodies in the film.
The way they're walking up, what they think are pans falling. Like, come on, guys.
Yeah.
Chunk was right
about.
Chunk was. He was always.
They would just listen to Chunk sometimes.
And that's basically how it is sometimes.
It is.
I felt like that friend, like within my friend groups.
Really?
Like, yeah, like.
Oh no, I'm definitely the I told you so friend.
Yeah.
And Chunk says that all the time. I told you so, guys. I told you. I'm definitely that friend.
Big. Yes. And then it's kind of sad, like the whole boy cried wolf thing.
Yes, with the cop. When he called the cop, and the cop was like, "This is another of your stories." He's like, "No, like I'm with murderers. Come help." Oh, Chunk. But I mean, I guess that's what he gets for always talking about stories. Oh my gosh, the Michael Jackson line kills me in the beginning of the movie. Okay, he didn't use my bathroom. But his sister did.
Yeah. Janet Jackson.
So
probably Janet Jackson.
Janet.
Which is honestly like pretty cool.
That is cool. I wish Janet Jackson used my bathroom.
That would be pretty dope. I do love that line. Janet Jackson. And they're like, oh yeah. But I like when the cops like, at that time when like those little creatures multiply when you throw water.
Oh yeah, they were.
Is that a Gremlins?
Yes, I think they were talking about the Gremlins because they were saying multiply by water. What other little creatures multiply by water?
I've never seen the Gremlins. And I know. Don't worry. But you know what is cool is like I was like I'm pretty sure that's a Gremlins quote. I know. But listen, this is cool. So it's gonna make you forget about all this.
Okay,
the same guy that
say it quick. Come
the
on.
same guy that same guy that wrote the Gremlins wrote this. So that's why that's in there.
And that's
Chris Columbus.
And I actually figured that. I didn't know who wrote the Gremlins, but when I heard that, I was like, they had to have a writer.
Yeah.
Which also, I saw that with Sloth.
Yeah.
So Sloth, he's wearing the Superman shirt,
Superman
right?
shirt.
And the director also directed.
Richard Donner directed
the Supermans.
But yeah, I saw that same thing too. I was like, hey,
and I actually
Richard
did
Donner.
not notice it until today. That's one of the things I noticed today. Like I knew he had the Superman shirt, but I'd never really researched the director or anything till today. And I was like, wait a second.
That's pretty cool.
Oh, that's cool. Okay.
You don't really see that a whole lot in like other movies, or like I guess you just don't. I don't catch it.
Yeah, maybe it was almost like a little Easter egg.
It is. This movie like pretty much basically, I guess I don't know. I don't want to go ahead and say that, and it's like we get like hate mail. And it's like no, it is. This started back in Treasure of Sierra Madre, where they had like all these Easter eggs and stuff like that. But no, this I noticed those too. The Superman, Richard Donner, and then the Gremlins quote with Chris Columbus.
Yeah.
Who Chris Columbus wrote this. This is where he and Spielberg.
I knew Spielberg, but
Spielberg
I knew
pretty much
Chris Columbus, but I didn't know Chris Columbus wrote the Gremlins.
He So, I mean, he went on to write and direct Mrs. Doubtfire. And then he directed the first 2 or 3 Harry Potter films.
Oh, cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that's how movie is basically how he got started.
Oh, okay. That's really cool.
He wrote, as we said multiple times before, The Gremlins, and then it says that Steven Spielberg wrote this, but I'm pretty sure that Chris Columbus wrote the screenplay for this, and Spielberg kind of came in and was like, here, how about this and that?
Yeah, I think that's right. I was doing research, and I saw both their names, so I'm pretty sure Chris did the screenplay.
He did the screenplay, I know for sure, but I thought he wrote it, but it says the story is by Spielberg. I remember researching, Chris Columbus did this, but he was basically Spielberg's protege.
Yeah.
Which is pretty cool. But I noticed those 2 Easter eggs, and I just thought that was actually really neat.
Yeah, I did not. Again, I'm excited when I find new things in this movie.
Yeah.
Because I've seen it so many times. So I was really excited to find that.
Yeah, I don't know. Because
cool. That might have been the first time I actually noticed the Gremlins line, too. I've seen this so many times, but today I was like, wait a second. That's the Gremlins.
And then I've still noticed no, I'm not going to bring it back to the fact that I haven't seen. Don't get mad at me again, please.
I haven't seen a lot of movies. I will say I've not seen a lot. I don't know too many names because I'm terrible with names. But the Gremlins, come on, man.
I guess it's kind of like the Goonies thing. I don't know why I just haven't. I don't think my dad or my parents even were they were just never here, you got to watch the Gremlins. They were just never like that. I will say. I'm not trying to excuse myself. Just explain myself.
You, but just watch it at some point.
Thank you.
Because it's pretty funny.
I know. And then I have a movie podcast, and that's what we'll do eventually. We'll do the Gremlins. It is getting close to Halloween. So maybe, I love Halloween. Maybe Gremlins will be the next one.
That's the thing, though. In my household, we actually consider Gremlins a Christmas movie.
Really?
Because it's set during the time of Christmas.
Okay. We'll do it around Christmas then. How about that?
Okay.
Awesome.
But there's so many good Christmas movies.
There are. We're definitely doing my favorite Christmas
National
movie.
Lampoon's Christmas Story. They all be hitting.
Mine is It's a Wonderful Life. So I'm gearing up for that one. I don't know. We might have to wait a little bit on that one. Don't know. That's gonna be a big day because that's one of my all-time favorite movies too.
Can we wear ugly Christmas sweaters for it?
Yeah. Maybe I'll get an ugly bow tie.
Yeah. We should get bow ties that light up
Oh, that's a good idea. We'll do it. Let's do it. Okay. All right, we're already coining.
I'm excited. Let's go.
We're already coining it.
Y'all better be here. Y'all better be watching it.
Maybe we can do a whole little holiday special, as corny as that sounds. But yeah, I will say it was get back on kind of the story of the Goonies. I mean, you kind of are lightly introduced to Sloth as the scary monster. Mm-hmm. I
love Sloth.
Sloth is so good.
He makes my heart just melt. I don't know what it is. I just want to give him a hug.
He's like a little kid, and you feel so bad for him. He's
his little ears.
His little ears that wiggle.
His ears wiggle.
it's so cheesy, but it's so funny.
It is.
You look at it, and then he's like.
I love it. I should have looked that up because I actually have been curious on how they did the ears.
Yeah.
How does that work?
They probably had
little
remote
controls.
Yeah. They probably had I don't know. I don't know, but he had a big makeup team.
Yeah.
I just noticed that in the credits. I should have looked up the makeup process of that.
I would have loved to look that up. Dang.
Tell
I'm gonna
more.
have to go and do this after the podcast because I am so curious.
It happens every time where I come up with something.
Think of things I should have done that.
Yeah. Happens every time. It's a popular theme of the show. But yeah, I put down the interrogation scene.
It's that scene of the movie.
That's what makes the whole movie basically.
Oh, it's so good.
It's that. It's if you go back.
Half of my favorite quotes come from that scene.
Yeah, pretty much almost all of mine. And the way he's crying.
Yes, it's so good.
And then
his little nostrils flaring. Oh,
he's
my
actually crying too. Apparently, he was thinking of his mom dying for that scene.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
That's one thing I saw, and he was actually thinking, but he made the director laugh just with some of his delivery.
Y'all, he's so good.
He is
so good.
Why did he not become a famous comedian?
I'm saying
he could have become one of the biggest.
Awesome.
Oh man, Jeff Cohen, you have potential. You can still go on, even though you're in your 50s now. You can still go on.
You still got it, man.
You can get
You have a whole team here ready to support you.
I know. He's a like a entertainment lawyer or legal guy. So he can.
Come on, man. Get back on the floor.
He has his foot in it. I know. He can definitely do it.
I love it. What's your favorite part about that scene? Like, out of the stories he's telling, what do you think your favorite story is?
Oh shoot! I mean, obviously the vomit scene.
The vomit,
but
that one's good.
I love where they're like, tell us everything.
Yes,
everything.
Spill your guts.
Everything.
Like, put it on puree. I love that line when she says, "Put it on puree."
No, I want to play violin.
Yes,
I'm just a kid.
I think my favorite one, I have it written down, in the 4th grade, I stole my Uncle Max's toupee and I glued it on my face when I was Moses in my Hebrew school play. I don't know Uncle Max, but imagining his toupee glued on his face.
Oh, that's gotta be like, I feel like that would be gross.
Probably, but it's so funny.
And I feel like that probably made Francis, Joe Pantoliano, mad because he has a toupee. He's probably like, oh God, goodness. You don't do that to a man's toupee. But you could see him feeling like bad, like where he's like, and they're like,
I love the way that the Fratellis are looking at each other. They're like,
damn,
this kid.
Like, maybe we should hire him.
Maybe
he's so bad. I think it floors me every time. As I mentioned before, even my dad has to walk in and like, and no matter how much you watch the movie,
it is just golden.
And
so good.
The kid steals the spotlight.
Does.
I mean, but like also like the Fratelli's like facial expressions.
Yes, it just makes it, and it's also funny to see these like hard gangsters, like mob members, with this little chubby kid across the table, all just like they don't know what to do with him.
Especially these hard-hitting brothers.
They don't know what to do. I know.
The mom, like just the fact that she's kind of like, get over. Let's pick this up, and then the two brothers like, no, we kind of want to keep listening to like, this is great. This is we don't get this very often,
Exactly.
And then like the one, he's like, I love this kid, Jake. Jake Fratelli's like, I love this kid. Oh, it's so awesome. Like you said, it's just a golden comedy gold right there.
Comedy gold. Just that scene is just.
It's like a constantly rewatchable scene.
Oh yeah.
But like then there's like 2 parts. There's like a cutaway, and then goes back to the kids who went to the cavern.
Yeah.
I did want to say I like where Data finds the whole counterfeit.
The counterfeit, the like, $50 bill, $50 bill.
He's like, we don't have to go down anymore. He's like, I saved it. And they're like, oh man, but they're counterfeit. They're fake. And it's like, that's where like, oh, the kids almost didn't have to do this.
Yeah, they almost didn't have to go on this journey, but hold up. Now they do.
Now they really do. But then also, it kind of reminds you of like what they're up against. If they don't go and find like, that's where Mikey's like, we don't go down here. We won't find that treasure. We won't be able to save our homes. And it's
also, they would have to face the Fratellis too. Because before they go in, the Fratellis come back. And that's where Mikey finally gets a step up. All of them don't really want to do it, but he's like,
we're kind of
either that or we have to face the Fratellis. So
which one?
Yeah.
They didn't let Chunk in. That's how why. But if he didn't get caught, we wouldn't have had.
Yeah, we wouldn't have had the scene.
I
that's something I put in the nitpick. There's a scene where he's in the freezer.
Yeah.
And before he's banging on the door, like, come on guys, like let me out, let me out. And they go into the fireplace, but then after they start going on their journey, he walks out. So how did he get out? How did the door just magically come unstuck?
Yeah.
Or
was like the body just in front of it? I don't know.
I don't know. Who knows?
It's definitely I did notice that too. I was like, wait, how did he just got up so easily?
But before he was like banging on the door, begging them to let him out.
And he saw like them come through. They almost like saw him. I think did they? No, they didn't get the body then.
No,
they went down to get the body after.
In the back when they picked him up.
After he got out, they're like, all right, he crawled out the window, and that's where they're like, all right, let's get the body.
Yeah, he went out the window. They came to get the body. Other people started on their journey.
That's where he runs. Which is also a great scene.
Dude, I love when is it Jake? Jake, the one that sings?
Yeah, he sings.
When he sings, I don't know what about it, but it just kills me.
He's a trained opera singer.
Really?
That actor. Yeah.
Oh wow, there you
Robert
go. Fun
Davi.
fact.
He's a trained opera
I mean,
singer.
I can hear it in
And
his voice.
he
You can
came
hear
up.
that he has vocal training.
He ad-libbed. I don't know if like just singing, but he basically like brought in like, okay, I'm gonna sing to Sloth to terrorize him.
Yeah.
He came up with that.
Oh wow, that's cool. That's cool.
Which I think is pretty funny, especially when an actor like, look, I have this to add in.
Yeah,
you
like
know?
a little extra skill in my back pocket. Let me pull it out real quick.
So
It's
fun.
smart. It's smart.
It
and
is.
I love when he sings. For some reason, it kills me because it almost gives his character like, oh, he's stuck in this
Some
mobster
warmth.
family, but like deep down, he wants to be like some type of performer or something.
Yeah.
Like it gives him that.
It gives you some relatability.
And it's really funny. It's really funny.
Is. Perfectly executed. Perfectly
Yes.
done. And it makes you relate to the character just
Yeah.
a little more. Joey Pants, not as much, but you still like him, you just like, I guess he gets everything he wants.
Yeah.
Where Jake kind of like doesn't. You kind of like
Francis is the favorite child.
Yeah, you kind of don't get like in depth with the whole family as much, but you still connect to some of them for whatever reason. But like, yeah, Mama Fratelli,
and Ramsey is great.
She's really funny.
Phenomenal. She kills me.
She does. Just her face.
You have her dressed in the pearls in the dress, but just her voice and like her demeanor.
Just real.
Yeah, it almost like they contradict each other.
Yeah.
And it adds like a comedic value to her character.
Does. They do contradict each other, and that's what's a big part of it.
Yeah.
Is that they contradict each other, and like you expect this sweet old woman, she's
but
a
no,
killer.
She's a killer, and she talks like this, and she can win an entire race in her Jeep Cherokee.
Yeah, she can drive stick, which is a different meaning nowadays compared to the 80s. But I mean, I don't know. I feel like everything was basically, I don't know. I'm not going to start talking in a field that I don't know. It would be like me talking about Gremlins, without knowing anything about it. Tisk. But no, what about the sets? Like the cavern sets.
Yes, my favorite, sets. I love the Wishing Well set.
That's probably my favorite too.
I absolutely love it. Just the way that they had the lighting and the filming, just the water with all the sparkly coins. Absolutely love it. Something about it is just very like almost magical.
Yeah.
Even though it's weird. It has a sense of this, magical place, but they almost take that away by revealing, oh, it's just a random wish. It's just a wishing well that we all use. They sort of take that away, yet it's still there, being in the bottom of it. And that could honestly be seen as something, being in the very, very bottom of this well. Like probably up there, it's old and falling apart, but like down here, it's something beautiful and magical. So
that is a pretty good
analogy. I think that's wonderful. And then obviously the lagoon at the end of the movie with the pirate ship. It's oh my gosh! If I could swim in that little lagoon, that's awesome.
Yeah, it seems so
all the
clear.
sets are great, but these are just some of my favorites.
I did like where they first go in, like they're first in. There's like a light coming from like the ceiling, and there's dust kind of like twirling down. I noticed that today. I was like, whoa, that's actually like really
How
cool
about
looking.
getting into the lagoon? The little slide part.
Oh, the slide,
bro! If I could slide down that slide, I want to know what it was like to film that. I want to be the cameraman behind them going down the slide with them. Like that is awesome.
That would be super cool. I mean, I feel like the whole crew had to be like,
my gosh.
hey, look, can we all take turns? Like
please.
Like, can we come in on like a Saturday where we're just like basically going?
I know I'm second AD and I'm not supposed to be seen, but can I please just slide down this line because that looks
as
awesome.
An additional PA, I would have been like, look, I'm sorry. Can
Even
I please?
If I was doing catering, I'd be like, y'all do not get y'all's food until I go down that slide.
And then you see like the hot shot producers. That sounds kind of silly, but like all these producers who are like very like, okay, we're business. Yeah. We're talking on the phone, like stressing out, like what's going on in the big studio,
insurance,
millions and millions of dollars on the line.
And
as one of them, I would be like, so I'm gonna escape work right now and go down the slide.
Absolutely. Oh yeah. Oh.
And then just that that like 20, 30 foot drop that they do. I don't know, maybe even less or maybe more.
Who knows?
I can't really remember.
It just looks so fun.
It was a drop.
I can't imagine filming that. Like, I feel like I would be having the time of my life, which I guess this is a good place to put in the tidbit about the ship.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, the kids did not see the pirate ship until that scene.
Yeah.
So when they got there, their reactions are actually very genuine because that was their first time seeing the entire pirate ship built. And it was not just like a set with the room with Willy. They built an entire pirate ship.
Full-scale replica of like some historically accurate. That, I don't know, I saw that too. I was just like blown away. Like, that is genius.
That is crazy.
But you want to know something kind of funny about that?
Sure, I would love to know.
So apparently, what you see in the final cut is actually a second take.
Really? I figured that. I was actually thinking about it. I saw that tidbit, and I was thinking about that while watching. I was like, because being on film sets, you take so many takes. I was like, I wonder if they got to even use.
I noticed that too. But you know why they had to redo it? Is because they were just so overwhelmed.
Really?
They were just like, I think they just forgot how to act. They all like they had to retake it.
I would give to see that first take. I would love to see. Because I know I would go wild.
Please release the first take.
This is us asking. Please release the first take.
We need a documentary or something, just like on the build up, and like, we should go and like make like a documentary on the whole thing. Get it, and just like the build up to this scene where the actors are overwhelmed. Even if we don't make an actual
documentary, can we tell people we're making a documentary just so we can find that first take?
We honestly should. Just like, hey, so we pop up on like Richard Donner's and like Spielberg's like doors, and it's like,
yep.
So when we need it now.
Which, speaking of, didn't Richard Donner die?
Shoot, did he?
I think he actually died in 2020.
Wait, no, you're right. He did. Shoot, I did see that, which is actually pretty sad. Why is it not pulling up? Man, you're right. He did die in 2020.
Is Spielberg still alive?
Spielberg is still alive.
Okay.
Guess what? He's actually coming to, coming close to where we do live to film a movie. And I
guess we got to ambush him.
We do. Richard Donner died he died in July 5th of 2021. Yeah, wow, so he died last year from the time we are recording this. Man, I did not realize that. But then I do remember seeing where he died recently. I don't know why. But anyway,
I knew it was
someone still has that cut of the first reaction.
Somewhere. Yeah.
But no, I mean, like, I still want to like kind of look at like some of the sets. Talk about that. Just like they just really did such a good job. All the sets were filmed on sound stages in Warner Brothers,
which is crazy,
in Burbank, California.
Which is crazy because if you look at those sets, like some of them are so huge.
Like that's a whole room, that an entire.
How do they do that? And then with the water, like the water in the bottom of the well, and in there, like that is in a room inside a soundstage.
Yeah.
What?
I did work on a film where we did do that. I didn't get to see a whole lot of the set. It was based in cavern. It was based in a cavern. It was kind of like that. I didn't get to see a whole lot of it.
Yeah.
That was cool to see, but to like see like that they filmed this in like whole rooms.
Yeah, I can't believe that because like the set that I worked recently on, ours was on the sound stages, but ours was actually right outside, and we just had like a couple of things built, and like the rest was like green screen.
Yeah.
So, like, I can't imagine, like, in our set, I don't want to talk too much about it, but it was supposed to be, like, almost a whole village. I can't imagine having a whole room inside. Like, that just blows my mind.
Like a room within a room.
A room within a room.
It's
a
just
pirate
insane.
ship within that room and a lagoon. What?
I've seen a lot of sound stages. Like, I've seen, like, multiple houses. I've seen a house that's, like, supposed to be for, like, for a giant, basically.
Yeah.
Like a really big house within a soundstage. To think about a full-scale pirate ship floating on water. That blows
my mind.
I mean, I think it's called Lot 16. I could be wrong, but like it's apparently the biggest sound like room.
Really?
In all of the United States.
Oh wow! I mean, it would make sense because it was huge.
It was massive.
It was massive
on the Warner Brothers lot in Burbank, California. It's insane. But yeah, I mean, shoot, but that ending, it like the whole journey within the caverns is like just awesome. Yeah. You really want to be in the caverns with them, even though they're like about to lose their lives, and most of them, like they're about to be crushed by these giant boulders.
Oh, can we talk about Sloth entering in the cavern? turning point of the movie. Like, that is just, you really get to see Chunk and Sloth's friendship there coming in to save the day. And, like, I'm trying to think of when I, first watched this. That was honestly such a big surprise because I'm like, oh my God, like, what are they going to do? You almost sort of forget about
catch
them.
Up on them?
Yeah, you almost forget about Sloth and Chunk, and then bam, they're here all of a sudden and save the day.
They're the biggest characters.
It's awesome. They're the heroes.
Yeah.
They are the unlikely heroes.
Like, pushes up that one pipe.
Yes,
they're like, yeah, Mikey was definitely in here. And he just like pushes it through, and you hear all like the...
And the boulder at the end, you get to see his super strength holding up the boulder, so all of the kids to escape. He doesn't escape with them. He lets them go.
Yeah.
And that's awesome.
He becomes the hero.
One of the most, known lines in the movies, hey
you
guys. It's so good.
I'm pretty sure that's from like the Electric Company, but like he just made that.
But he made
Everyone says it because of him.
Because of him, yeah.
Like that's like a pre-existing line, but you only say
but
because
you know
of
it
Sloth.
because of the Goonies.
Because of Sloth from the Goonies.
Yes.
I mean, it's just perfect. But I mean, no, that like the sets. I didn't want to say like, just. Oh no, I'm gonna say that for cultural impact. I'm gonna save it for that. Like, these sets are incredible. They just make you want to be in there with them. Like, the whole pirate ship, like, where they actually get on it. They're walking through that thing, and it's just, like, you're like, I want to see a real-life pirate ship. I want to be on there with them.
Yeah.
And they go in, and even, like, they're surrounded, like, by skeletons. The thought of skeletons never bothered me.
Yeah.
But, like, you're like, man, I want to be in there with all those skeletons, just kind of like surrounded by history, like the unknown, basically.
And also just, you finally get to see the treasure at that point. This whole time we're talking about the treasure, we don't even know what it is.
We don't know if
we have no
if it exists or not.
It's like just a little chest. We don't know if it's a whole room. You're finally get to see all these jewels and balloons and jewelry, and maybe that's just the girl in me. Yeah. But that's one of the parts that I loved. I was like, oh my gosh, all this sparkly shit. Yeah. Look at that. I was loved it.
It's also funny where they first think they find the treasure in the wishing well.
Yeah.
But then it actually pays off where they go in.
Which little side note, Mouth's little monologue he has there. About the wishes
that he wants to take back.
They didn't come true. I'm taking them back. That's one of the parts with Mouth's character that gets me. He lets down that wall and it really just it hits.
He makes himself vulnerable.
That's it. And I put that down for notable acting because that right there, I was just like,
perfect.
Whoa.
I know that is. They each have their own little moment to shine too. That's one thing I noticed, and like kind of brings me to something I want to talk about. One of the sets being like the big organ, the bone organ.
Yes, I had that written down too in the sets. The bone organ is crazy.
That I thought was like the coolest, and like that's where the stakes were like really up. They now have they have the Fratellis. It's like a race against the Fratellis, and also a race against themselves because like, and also like they can't mess up. All the stress is on Andy, who's the most like ditzy of the group. Yeah,
she's out of the people to get really pressured under stress. Andy is that person. You see that when they first come into the cave, she's freaking out and talking about all this crazy stuff and da-da-da-da-da. So to have all the pressure on the person who's most likely to, freak out from pressure, that puts a lot of pressure on the audience. Yeah. We're like, oh crap.
She does a good job with you feeling that.
Yeah.
She kind of had like kind of the quirky, kind of goofy 80s feel, but like it really like worked.
Yeah,
it did. Especially like watching films now, like you watch that, you're like, wow, she knew how to work the audience.
Yeah, she did.
Yeah, Carrie Green. Yeah,
yes, Carrie Green.
She did good with that.
And then continuity nitpick in that scene. I don't know if you've noticed, but the first note that she plays wrong, Mouth goes to fall, and then the second note that she plays wrong, Brand goes to fall. When Brand goes to fall, you can see that hole is no longer there.
Really?
So, if it was actually correct, that hole would still be there. But all of a sudden, the floor is back when Brand is falling.
Interesting. I did not notice that.
Yeah. Little tiny continuity.
Little tiny continuity.
Again, I was really searching.
You should maybe be a scripty, it sounds like.
Maybe.
Script supervisor right here. Hook her up. But no, I was going to say, all the characters feel like they have a little bit of their time to shine.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Data with his inventions, he saves the day a lot of the times.
He does.
His random little slick shoes and a little punch.
Yeah, Puncher's a pal.
Yeah,
Puncher's of power.
Andy. Yes. No, What was the other one? There was Pinchers
of Pearl.
Pinchers of
Peril. I was like, I
saw.
Yes. I thought
the Pinchers of Peril saved
me. I think it's because of his like strong accent.
Yeah.
He I always thought he was like saying Pinchers of Pal.
Yeah, it really does sound like that because of his accent.
Punchers of Pal. I was like, oh, he's just renaming all this stuff after, of Pal, And shoot, now like I watched that, I was like, oh shoot, I've been thinking he was saying this wrong thing the whole time.
Yeah, no, I get that.
I'm just too American, I guess, too white. But
sorry, Data.
Yeah, sorry, Data. I do want to talk about him soon. Data. Well, that at least that actor.
Yes, the actor.
Which
I have his
so
name
excited.
somewhere. Ki-yon Kwan?
Yeah, Ki-hoi Kwan.
Ki-hoi Kwan. I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong.
Yeah, Ki-hoi Kwan. We may be pronouncing it because we're just white.
Again, we're white guys.
We're white Americans who know nothing of Vietnamese culture. I'm pretty sure that's where he's from. I'm pretty sure he's from Vietnam. One of them. He. I love just the sets, perfect.
Mm-hmm.
But then like the ending just, I don't know. This is, I guess, one of my nitpicks.
Okay.
After I didn't put it down, but my nitpick, at the end, like finally they're out. You're kind of breathing again, and then like, they have to get run out because they're fighting the Fratellis basically. Like the love story blossoms, between Brand and Andy, especially after she kisses Mikey,
Which I have questions about that. Andy, come on, girl. How did you not realize it was not Brand?
Yeah.
He's this tall and has
it could have been Data or Mouth, It could have been anybody. But here's okay.
I guess that's the ditzy in her. I can't.
Yeah.
Okay, but
that's
part
of her character.
Come on.
But here's the thing, as a guy, like, how do I say this without sounding super weird and creepy and perverted? Here's the thing.
I'm so excited to see where this goes. I'm listening.
Here's the thing. Growing up watching this movie as a kid, I would have been like, I was always like, man, Mikey got it. He was able to like.
I've been saying Mikey had it. I've been saying that Mikey is that man.
So Mikey had you.
Oh.
But like, here's the thing, like, kind of like wanting to like relate to Mikey, like a girl threw herself at him basically. Yeah. It's like, man, why was that not happening to me as a kid, basically? Somewhere along that line. I don't know like how else I can put it, but it's like kind of like, man, Mikey was able to pull something off that Mikey all of us other like he just had like game, but that was the thing. Like I was like, oh shoot, I feel like I'm pretty nerdy. I don't have like an older brother who has like a maybe girlfriend. That whole thing, she's not really his girlfriend. She's throwing himself.
Back to my first question that I mentioned. Not really his girlfriend, but what is
she? Kind of. I guess quote unquote hoeing around between. But she obviously really liked Brand.
No, she's not a hoe. Y'all missed it. I said that earlier, but what I meant by that is just I couldn't understand.
What was she doing with Troy?
That's the thing, like she was with Troy, she was riding in his car, he was looking down her shirt, and she like reprimanded him for that, but then she went to Brad, but then she almost went back from Brand to him in the well, and then last minute decided not to, but not because of Brand, because of Mikey.
Yeah.
When he said, Goonies never die, like, let's go, let's do this adventures. That's the reason she didn't go. So I was just like, Andy girl.
The whole thing.
What's going on?
So you took it as if she was going up to, So she was. You felt like she was really going back to Troy?
I don't necessarily know if she was going back to Troy. Here's what I personally think. I just think Andy is a teenage girl with lots of hormones, and is just. I mean, any second you look at, she's trying to kiss Brandon, and I'm like, bro. And then she ends up kissing his little brother. I mean,
a lot going on with Andy.
But again, I mean, it's her character. She's very ditzy, very girly.
We like Andy.
We like Andy. We do. Nothing against Andy. I just had to laugh at that.
I guess I kind of had. I guess I'll say I did have like a little bit of a crush.
Yeah,
on her.
I like crush on Andy.
I don't know where that like kind of crush went. But it was always like, like Mikey was able to accomplish something that like. All the other guys.
Every little boy dreams I want to kiss my older brother's girlfriend. What?
Kind of. It's like, I don't know if it's like that, but it's just kind of like the kid was himself. He was a nerd.
And that's what I love about his character. That's what I mentioned earlier. The fact that he's nerdy, yet still cool, and so many people look up to him. That's why I love his character so much. He is himself.
Yeah.
And he's cool as himself.
And then
which is so admirable.
And then that's what Andy even tells him.
Yes, at the end, I love that line.
That was actually great.
That line.
You know, she gives him like, I'm pretty sure, a little peck on the cheek.
Yeah, a little peck on the cheek, and she's like, you know what? You know, you keep kissing girls the way you do, and the other parts that don't work as well will eventually catch up. She talks about, like, you know, how some parts of him are a little nerdy, are a little weird, but if he just keeps being himself, and if he keeps kissing the way he does, then the rest of it will catch up.
Yeah, which I don't know, I did like that scene. She felt very much like, almost like, I guess, a sister-in-law within that scene, you know?
Yeah, we don't want to say sister because he kissed her.
Yeah.
But somehow
like
connected to him, almost very family, almost oriented, like just looking out for him.
Yeah.
Just looking out for him.
Felt almost like a sister. Yeah. But I mean, and then, of course, you know, Bran gets the girl.
Yes, he does.
So it kind of like gets that,
Which
but then
go
like
for Bran. Good job, buddy.
Good job. He held it.
your little brother. Good
because
job.
he almost kills him, you know. But then she completely turns him off of that by kissing him.
By kissing him again with the kissing, she distracts him. She knows that's her superpower.
Yeah,
that's all I'm gonna say. She knows her femininity, whatever you want to say, and she uses that power.
There's some of the Spielberg writing. Kind of felt like an Indiana Jones girl, you know. I guess that's the best way to describe it. But no, I mean, like, I was gonna say the ending. Some parts of it were like, felt like they were capping some of the characters, but just didn't feel as payoff-ish.
Okay, how so? Give me an example.
It's just like the dad was a little too goofy in it.
I feel like Mikey's dad is just really goofy though.
Yeah, he's just
like,
kind of.
He's a very goofy person. He's all over the place.
That's where Mikey kind of gets it, but he pulls it off much better. Obviously. I don't know. Just some of it was just like, I don't know. Felt like they could have been like maybe a scene of them like going out to get maybe the end credits would have been started rolling as like you just see the kids like in a boat being brought back, or just like an ending of them like kind of like of the Goonies on the ship steering it back.
Oh, that would be cool, but I mean, you got to think about it. At that point, the ship is already gone.
Yeah, they're already like
the very end. The ship is already going.
Yeah,
they're on the shore, which is one of my ending questions. Which is everyone's ending question about the Goonies is, you know, who's driving?
Yeah.
Is it the spirit of Willy or how is that boat going?
Spirit of Willy. That does sound cool.
But yeah, I mean, even if they don't go to the boat, I could see an ending where they are all together. Because the ending, they're all with their parents, which is cool. But the parents weren't really necessarily a big part of the story.
Yeah.
It's the friendship. So if they could have ended, like, you know, all walking away together from the beach, I could have been cool with that. But there is some nice things about the ending. Like, I do love Data's parents. Their interaction that they have. And his dad goes to take a picture, and Data tells him, like, you can't hug a photograph. And his dad says, "You're the best invention I've ever made." That was so sweet.
That was
so sweet.
It was kind of like corny, like
it was
in
corny,
a way
but
to where it was like
sweet
it's like
corny.
look, we're just gonna like throw a heavy-handed thing about the character, like they obviously invent, and they have to throw like the corny, like you were my greatest invent, but it was still like oh,
but it was still sweet.
Okay.
And then again, your comedic relief with Chunk and the Domino's pizza.
Yeah, so great. he didn't even
be my favorite.
He hugged like his sister real quick, and so he's like, "Oh, never mind. Forget my family."
Pizza. Which and then you have Sloth join them too, which is great.
Yeah.
Him saying that also, I was actually started tearing up today. I don't know if it was because I was emotional or what. Like I've seen this movie so many times, but when he went up to Sloth and he was saying like, you know, you're gonna live with me now. It's because I love you, and I love you too, Chunk. I love Chunk.
Love Sloth.
Yes. I was like,
or Sloth love Chunk.
Oh, I was so my favorite pair.
Yeah,
my favorite. They're such an iconic duo.
They're a duo.
Oh, it's so good.
They should have made like a spinoff.
A spinoff. I feel like a spinoff. Chunk and Sloth.
I would not be mad about that. As much of like
I'm just saying it better be good. That's the thing.
That
is true.
If you
take one of my favorite movies and then make a spinoff and it's bad,
if I see a spinoff, if I see that they're making a spinoff about something, I'm kind of like, all right, cool. But if I see that they're making a spinoff about Chunk and Sloth, I would be like, okay, cool.
Okay. Okay, come on, let's go.
Where do I get my ticket?
Which I did actually read that. I was doing research today, and a bunch of people were saying like, "Oh, we need a sequel. We need a sequel." I
don't think it needs a sequel.
It's just so good, and like, I think that's all you need.
Yeah.
I don't want to ruin it. I don't want to push it. I think that is all you need.
As a kid, I did think about a pretty cool sequel.
Mm-hmm.
Something, I don't know. I might have to coin it first before I really start
Before
talking
we talk about it. Yeah.
But I mean, I did think of actually a cool sequel.
You'll have to tell me about it later.
But even then, there is a thought, it seems like they actually are really trying to work on it. Like, apparently, Robert Davi and Corey Feldman are actually slated to be in Goonies 2, which is seeming like it would release in 2027.
Huh, okay.
I saw that.
Yeah, I saw something
not
about
much on it.
Maybe a show or something. I'm really not sure.
Apparently, it's being written.
It was something.
It could be something related with that Spielberg movie that's coming near us. Okay, so it sounds like we're going to be actually having to crash Spielberg's set.
We're going to have to do it.
Don't worry. I know at least one person who may be working on it in a pretty good position, too.
Nice.
To and said he would pass whoever my resume, and we'll see if I work on it actually.
Okay, yeah. Let me know. I will be a PA on that job.
I don't know. I'll respectfully and responsibly get you in. Maybe trying to toss your resume and your name around. Don't worry.
Okay.
I'm not gonna sneak you in or anything like that. But no, I mean, that's pretty much it for some of the. I mean, there are some tidbits on production that I can run through real quick.
Sure, go for it.
I mean, we already had the whole set one, the pirate ship where the kids see it for the first time, where the final cut was actually their second take because the kids were so overwhelmed. But I mean, this film was preserved in the United States National Film Registry, just because aesthetic, and it's so historic and culturally historic. You know, it's set up so much. So it's preserved in the United States National Film Registry. The jail that in the very beginning that Jake Fratelli was in, is now the Oregon Film Museum.
Really? That is cool.
They were like, you know what? This is so iconic that it's going to be Oregon's Film Museum, which is pretty cool.
That is cool.
I noticed we talked about that. The entire set was scrapped because nobody wanted it. So that
this set was amazing.
Nobody wanted it. I don't get it. But I did read where some of the ship was used for the Pirates of the Caribbean ship at Disney World. I think it was Disney World.
I didn't even know Disney World had a pirate ship, and I've been there so many times.
It was either Disney World, maybe Disneyland.
Maybe Disneyland. I've never been to Disneyland. Maybe that was it.
It was one of them. I forget, but I think it was Disney World.
Who knows?
The ship took 2.5 months to build, which is understandable.
Yeah.
I mean, it's very impressive.
For those of you who haven't seen it, it's a large ship.
It is.
And that is
which is
crazy
understandable.
Considering they built such a large ship, but you really only see like one room of it.
Yeah, you really don't see a whole lot of it.
You don't see a whole lot of it.
They probably were like, no, we don't have to go into this detail within this room because they only use this room.
Yeah.
Stuff. This is all they're gonna see. Knowing how they film and stuff like that, that's probably what they had to do. They probably had some unworked stuff. Spielberg, according to Sean Astin, Spielberg basically co-directed the film. He actually was like, hey, look, you should do it like this. Do it
Which
like that.
I can believe.
Same.
Yeah, you can see it.
Yeah, Spielberg always has like his magic touch, and then you can see in some of it too, because he was obviously a producer.
Yeah.
The producers can definitely be like, hey, look, I think you should do it like this. This would definitely grab, because they know. Let's see, almost all the Astoria settings were shot on location. It's pretty cool. In Astoria, Oregon. The cavern cave with Willy's ship, of course, we talked was on the Warner Brothers stage in Burbank, California. Apparently, Sean Astin kept the treasure map, but years later,
I did read about that tidbit. I actually had it written down.
His mom threw it away, thinking it was trash.
His mom threw it
Oh,
away.
that's sad. That's sad. I almost feel bad for
I would be so
putting
mad at
that
my
out.
mother. I would be
It was
so
already on the
mad at
internet,
my
but
mother.
I feel bad for putting kind of resurfacing that. Oh man, poor Sean. I mentioned this. Robert Davi came up with "Singing to Sloth" because he's a trained opera singer. The Willy skull was apparently real bone.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. Wow.
Pretty interesting.
That's cool.
The prayer that Chunk is saying as he realizes he walked up to the fratellis.
Yeah.
That's a real Hebrew prayer that he improvised.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Cool.
He just improvised a real Hebrew prayer as he's walking away.
Again, this kid is genius.
He is
genius.
He's got so much potential.
He does.
I hate saying this. It makes me sound like almost like mean. Sounds very bad when I say this. But I thought he was just speaking gibberish or like trying to sing like he was because he heard him. But to know that he was actually saying a real Jewish prayer.
I knew it was.
I didn't know what he was
Hebrew.
doing. I was like, is he trying to sing an Italian opera?
Yeah.
And he's just doing it to be goofy?
I'm not too familiar with all of that, but I have been to the synagogue a couple of times because my parents, or not my parents, just some of my family come from
Jewish
this little
descent.
Jewish Italian village in Lebanon, very specific, but that's where they come from. So I'm just researching my roots, so I knew it sounded right, but I didn't know what he was saying. You kind
of recognized it.
Yeah, I recognized it.
I just thought he was saying gibberish. I feel bad saying it, but to read that actually is like whoa,
really
that is
cool.
super cool.
Yeah,
that he actually incorporated that.
I didn't know he was actually. I mean, with you saying that, I didn't know that he knew Hebrew. Mm-hmm. I didn't know he was actually like Jewish in real life. I had no clue. I just thought that was part of his character.
Because he mentions that in within his character too.
Yeah.
There was a giant octopus fight, which was cut.
Yes. Okay, they say that.
They say it.
In the end scene.
They should have just cut it because I thought it was just being...
I thought he was just bullshitting.
Yeah.
Because he talks to the cop like, the octopus fight was crazy.
Octopus.
I thought he was just saying that to, get the attention of the cameras. I had no clue that there was a fight cut. That makes so much sense.
It's mentioned in there, but the fact that it actually was there is so cool.
Wow.
Yeah.
I got to see that too. Okay, Spielberg, we need 2 scenes right now.
We need the 2 scenes. We need the first reaction, the octopus scene. Please, it's got to be somewhere.
Yeah.
Maybe in the film registry.
Maybe
they have like some sort of like backstory. Maybe we could probably see deleted scenes. I'm so stupid. We're gonna go see if they have deleted scenes. That's got to be a cool scene to see the octopus.
For real.
It may be cheesy.
Where do you think the octopus came from? Would it be in the lagoon?
I think in the lagoon.
Probably. Yeah.
They had to be in the lagoon.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's any place it could be.
Yeah, because it seemed deep enough.
Yeah.
Would have been cool.
That is one thing I noticed, though. I always thought that they were, like, treading water in the lagoon, but if you pay attention, I'm pretty sure they're standing up in the water.
Yeah.
Yeah.
True. Yeah.
Which would make sense. I would hate to have to act and tread water. That would suck.
It did not look that deep. But
yeah, it was like coming up to like their shadows.
That's where it had to be.
Which then I also had another thought. So they jump off the plank, right?
Yeah.
Well, the water would have to be deeper if they were jumping off that plank.
Yeah.
They would hurt themselves. So
yeah,
was
especially
it like deeper
diving into
and
it.
then got shot? Like,
especially
I want to know how
diving.
they did that.
I know.
It's a good question.
I do wonder that too.
Maybe it was like,
diving.
those pools, shallow to deep. Maybe it was like deep to shallow, so they could jump and then swim and then stand up like over there. Because when they're standing up, they're all a little bit further away from the ship.
That would make sense.
Like near the rocks.
That would be my guess for it.
Yeah, because Sloth, he does like a headfirst dive.
Yeah.
Into that part of the water.
And
so it had
that
to be deep.
That heavy man.
Yeah.
Which brings me to another point. John Matuszak. Something was John Matuszak.
Yeah.
He was an NFL player.
Really?
Yeah, he died in 1989. Oh. So like 4 years after this.
Really?
Aged 38.
From what?
I think a heart attack. Because he had like
38's young.
It is young, but like he had like kind of I saw where he like there's a whole IMDb video that I did not watch today. But I watched it a while ago. He I think he struggled with drugs and then alcohol, but like then like got better and then like it caught up with him. It's a sad video you watch. It's kind of sad, but yeah, no, especially with him as an NFL player, played for various teams. But he, with him diving into that water,
it had to be deep,
shallow, or I mean deep. He
was a large man.
He was, and it's usually I'm like, they're not that big, but when you see him, he's big.
You see him standing next to the kids, and you're like, oh.
It's like that is a big man.
He's built.
Well, even when he's standing near the brothers too.
Oh yeah, even next to the brothers, he's huge.
Big guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it makes sense that he's an NFL player.
Yeah.
Well, sweet. Well, that's it for like the the bulk of like the discussion that I have. Do you have anything else that you wanted to add?
I mean, not really. I was going to say before we go, we could play a quick little fun game. Why don't you give me just a few quotes? Because there's so many good quotes in this movie.
Well, I mean, like, I do have notable quotes.
Just, give me a quote and see if I can guess which character. We can go back and forth.
You want to do that in favorite quotes?
Favorite quotes?
In the category?
Yeah, category favorite quotes.
We have, like, nitpicks. We have the categories and stuff.
Yeah. And we went through a couple of nitpicks.
We did.
We haven't hit very many
We'll just kind of, like, go through them.
Yeah,
just kind of, like, recapture. As a little recap.
Give me a quote and see if I can guess who it is.
Okay, so quote. Oh, shoot. I do, I like to, like, okay, 00 negative. It's 007, not 00 negative. So what's the first one? Who's the first one? Like, okay, 00 negative.
Oh my gosh, wait, why do I not know this one? I do not know this one. I really thought I was going to do all these. I'm guessing it has to be Mouth and Chunk.
Okay. You got Chunk right.
Okay, Chunk.
So
would it be Brandon Chunk?
Mm-mm.
No, Mike and Chunk?
Nope.
Who is it? Okay, tell me. I give up.
Chunk is the one like, okay, 007.
Uh-huh.
And then Data's like, it's not double.
It's Data.
He's like, it's 007, not 00 negative.
When was this? What part of the film was this?
They're on their bikes.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's crazy. I've never even like really paid attention to that line. Wow.
I love. Okay. I guess I started off too hard on you.
No, you're good. Let's see. I know I have a lot easier ones. I didn't pick any hard ones.
Let's do another one.
Okay.
Let's see. What does he say? I want the fettuccine 82.
Yes, come on, Mouth. Come on.
I think it was 82.
All right. What about cruising the coast, down in some brews? But no! Somebody's older brother had to go screw it up and flunk their driver's test.
Another Mouth. He has some pretty good ones.
Great quotes.
He has some pretty good ones.
So good.
You
I
already.
But no.
But no.
So good. Like he's just a little prick. You want to punch him.
You know my favorite from that whole thing? He's like sniffing lace. It's like
yes,
bro.
Whoa, Mouth.
Dude.
What the heck?
What talk about a mouth?
Mouth with the drugs. Like where are you getting this from?
I know.
Kid?
It's like, whoa, this kid's got it. He's got a mouth.
Yeah.
Oh shoot. What's I do like you okay? Yeah, are you? Yeah, and they start like fighting. Like the two brothers.
Yes. Are you okay? It's the hug. Like, oh, they're being sweet. And then yeet.
Yeah, they're like right back to each other. Apparently, like they got casted because of their banter,
chemistry?
their chemistry and their banter to each other as brothers.
Oh wow.
Not real brothers, of course, but like that's why they got.
Well, I mean, they seemed like real brothers. Like they had great chemistry.
They worked really well together. Let's see. Shoot, I think this is it. Yeah, okay, that's who it is. He says, "There's a funny farm. It's got your names written all over it."
Oh my gosh, you are killing me with this.
And then I think the very next line, which will give it away, is like, "I smell ice cream."
Oh, that's Chunk.
That's Chunk.
Well, that's Chunk.
Because they're like,
yeah, right before the freezer.
They're not listening to him.
Yeah.
I smell ice cream. Oh wait, ice cream. Another. You'll get this one. I mean, obviously, you're like pizza.
Again.
Pepperoni.
Again, like, Chunk smelling them. But I do love, right after that, the Fratelli brothers fighting over the pizza and they're chunking at each other and the mom's like, stop,
he's like, Mai's eating my pepperoni again.
Yes, Mai's eating my pepperoni.
Like, yeah, you want to fight? Yeah, we're going to kill each other over pizza.
All right, I've always liked this one. What about this one?
Okay.
Follow those size fives.
Oh, yeah. Ma.
Yes,
Mama Fratelli. Size fives.
Look at those size fives.
Those were not size fives.
They had to be a little bigger, right? At least a 6.
I'd say a 7.
7?
7.
I don't know
8.
men's shoes like that.
So. As someone who knows men's shoes,
I wear a boy's 6.
They had to be like 8s.
So.
They had to be like 8s, 9s.
That would make sense.
I'd say Brand was maybe like 10 or 11.
Yeah. Brand has a big feet. I'm talking about the
littler kids, littler boys, young men.
Young men.
The lads. They had to be around there.
Good lads.
All right, well, cool. How about some nitpicks?
All right, nitpicks. Let's see if I have anything left, because I did throw in a couple of my nitpicks. Yeah, I don't have very many. Like I said, the chunk in the door, and then I said the chunk in the
Chunk
door.
in the door.
The chunk in the door.
Lawrence.
Lawrence, yes. And then, the organ, the floor missing.
Oh, yeah.
That's honestly about it, though. I did read somewhere, I don't know exactly which scenes, but at some point Data's shoes switch.
Oh, really?
At some point he has black Nikes with a white Nike check, and it switches from white Nikes to a black Nike check.
I did know that he had like the white.
Yeah,
black.
but the colors switch.
Huh. Okay,
That's about it though for nitpicks for me.
I'm gonna have to check that out. But yeah, I'd say at least for my hit pick, it just holds a nostalgic.
Oh yeah,
that affects everyone from all generations.
Absolutely, the nostalgia is just great. And then getting picky as in hit picks is what I mentioned before. Just little things to look out for. Chunk's face in the back of that car is it's spot on. It is great.
The way he just he stops talking.
Yes, he stops talking.
When he's scared. He just stops talking like completely. He just can't speak.
There's no sound.
He's like trying to scream, but he just can't. I love that.
Yes, it's great.
I guess my nitpick. I don't know. I'd mentioned it earlier. Like it's not like really a nitpick, but I just like I guess it kind of like slightly affected me, or it was always like mentioned. Like as a kid, I would always like be like, "Oh yeah, I guess so." Like that the kids like cuss a little more than they need to.
Yeah.
And I like it's not really, but like I noticed it watching with my little 6-year-old sister. I'm like, ooh, I don't know if I think these words should be introduced to her.
Yeah. I understand. That.
But like,
and I definitely think, like, looking at it from my age now, obviously we know those kids are probably a little older than the parts that they're playing.
It is more realistic.
Which is why I've always been fine with it. But if you're solely thinking about the fact that these kids are that young, then maybe they shouldn't be cursing much. But then again, if I look back on it, when I was in the 8th grade, 9th grade, I was that person who was trying to be cool in the back of the bus and would let out the S word every 5 seconds. Like, so then again, I can understand, especially if they're not around the parents. They're with the older brother. They're trying to look cool for this older brother. They're with each other. Girl.
It's realistic.
I can understand that, but they're cussing. It's so weird. It almost works too well for it to be realistic. Like me, when I was little, I would try to be cool and throw in a cuss word, but it literally just would sound weird.
Yeah.
Whereas theirs sounds way too natural.
Yeah, it does. It does. It's like the writing of it.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like that's just Spielberg, and I guess the screenplay. The writing was also Chris Columbus. But I mean, as I wrote it down, I also was like reading over. I was like, it's really a nitpick. But I mean, that's just what I could think about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And like,
again, you had to search for
I was also like,
searching.
it's also realistic. They're kids that I was just like, they're also younger kids that watched this. Who maybe should not be introduced to like words like that.
What is this movie rated? Is it rated?
It's PG.
PG?
Yeah, it's PG.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure.
Because they do have a couple of, I know for ratings, they usually have like a count on words that are allowed, and I feel like there's a couple of cuss words in it.
Yeah, I feel like it was just...
Which none of them are like bad cuss words. It's usually just like the S word.
It was just a
handful. Something like that. But like there is a little handful of them.
It's just a small handful. It's not bad, really.
No, it's not.
All right, now cultural impact.
This is all you. Because I was racking my mind, and then it was too much thinking. I was like, I bet Jacob will kill this. So this is all you, buddy.
Okay.
Take it away. I am listening.
So I have the soapbox.
Okay.
All right. I guess it just can be placed easily as like an 80s film.
Mm-hmm.
That's just what I did. I mean, it's 1985. Like so much came out that year.
Very mid 80s, right in the center of it all.
It's with
Lots
Back
of
to the
other
Future
Back
right
to the Future,
there.
Yeah.
I mean, it's all there, like all their clothes basically, like just have like surprisingly like an 80s realistic 80s feel too. It was not trying to be too heavy-handed, but it wasn't
like, oh, we're 80s. Like it was set in the 80s. Yeah.
Exactly. That's just kind of like what I felt from it. But like it's easily an 80s film. I mean, obviously like this, it's been placed in like the National Film Registry because it had such a cultural impact on just everyone. Like Cyndi Lauper, just the Goonies Are Good Enough song just being in there, just like
Which ties into our notable soundtrack.
Yeah,
but continue.
that will definitely. But I was gonna say, like, they have like escape rooms that are modeled after this. I went to the escape room here in our city.
Oh, okay.
And
they have one modeled?
Pretty much.
Oh,
in fact,
wow.
one of the clues to get out is like.
I'm gonna ask you more about those later.
I'm not gonna spoil the. I'm not gonna spoil the escape.
Get
yeah.
mad. But I'm definitely asking about.
But there's like
later.
a direct tie-in to this movie. I was like, oh wow, they're actually giving the rights to that basically.
Cool.
It's that. Yeah, it's so cool.
Huh, good to know.
But I mean, like the fact that it's just a group of kids, they're like a little gang.
Yeah.
You got like, I don't know, that's been, I'm pretty sure that's been like done before. I don't know. Like I said, I forget when Stand By Me, I think that came out after. I want to say like 86, 87, around there. I mean, like,
somewhere
look at Stranger Things. Like, would Stranger Things be the thing
and that's
it
why,
is because of this?
I appreciate so much is really, and we tell my dad this all the time, because my dad does not understand Stranger Things. He's like, it's sci-fi, and all this stuff he doesn't get. I'm like, no, it's the group of kids. It's the characters. It's their connection. It's the relationship. And that's what Goonies is. Yes, you have this adventure, but it's really about the characters and their connection.
I mean, that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just, this really set the importance of how important, like, a group of kids and like their characters together are,
and the capability of what these kids can do.
And it did so well, like making these kids seem human.
Mm-hmm.
But no, I mean, multiple films go on to do the same thing, and I was just very impressed. I was thoroughly impressed. But I mean, no, that's it. That's what I had for cultural impact. I can't really think of anything like specific. I was gonna say like, so good enough for me.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the whole cavern thing, every time I like go to like the beach, I kind of feel like the Goonies, even though like
really
it's set in North Pacific Coast town, like fishing town.
All the way over there.
Everything's gloomy, but like once they get into the cave, it's like, wow, they might as well be in the Caribbean, you know?
Yeah. And
like,
that's what I love about that cave. It's so just gorgeous and it's just wow.
Makes you feel like you're in a very different place.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
I don't know. I thought that was.
I would have never guessed. I actually did have to look it up to make sure, because like I knew the town was Astoria. Like when I was little, I always figured like they're in California or something like that, in a smaller town in California. I was very surprised to figure out. I'm like, oh, they're in Oregon?
Yeah. Come on now.
Pirates were in Oregon?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
I thought they were only in the Caribbean.
Okay. Yeah.
The Bahamas. You know, it kind of transports you there. But every time I go to a place that's kind of like around like that kind of Bahamas setting, I kind of think about this movie for some reason. Mainly because I went to a cool resort way deep down near the border of Mexico, in South Padre, Texas.
Huh.
Like, I remember being at the resort. It was like, of course, beach themed.
Yeah.
There was a cool lazy river with
the best.
They were serving margaritas and everything to everyone.
Come on.
And like, just it was perfect. But then Goonies Are Good Enough came on at one point. I was like,
really?
This is perfect.
I would be sitting in that too.
Now I feel like I'm actually in the cove.
Oh yeah, that is awesome. Good for them for playing that song.
It was perfect.
Good for them.
We're gonna have to talk more about like that place. You need to go to that place and like maybe just, even if you have your own AirPods, just turn on the noise cancellation.
I'll request it. Be like, y'all need to put this song on now.
That is actually a great idea. I want to go back now and listen to it.
Can we take a Bowtie Movie Lounge field trip?
We should. I'm gonna take everyone. Everyone who's guested.
We can film in Hawaiian shirts, but still have our bow ties.
Oh, we should do that. Actually, that's not a bad idea.
I've been dying for a vacation. It's been a long time since I've been on one.
Once I get more sponsorships and stuff, once I do get sponsorships or anything like that, we're gonna do it. I'm gonna invite everyone.
I'm holding you up to it.
Okay.
I'm holding you up to it.
Do
we
it.
Better go.
Hold it up with a letter opener to my neck. Do it.
All right, I will.
I'm actually very down for that. Yes. It's gonna happen.
Oh, that's gonna be awesome. Because I haven't even personally met all the other people who've been on this podcast, but watching some of y'all's episodes, I feel like we would all be such a great group.
You'd mesh.
It would be a great group. Yeah.
I think you would. It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen.
I'm ready. I'm excited. Let's go.
We're gonna do a full-on circle podcast.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Have everyone who's been on the podcast all together.
I'm getting really excited now. I have to think about not having as many different people on. At the same time, like, shoot, just come on.
I'm thinking about how we're going to do the damn seating arrangements. How are we going to fit all of us in here?
It's not going to be this table, that's for sure.
Gonna have to have a long, like, round table.
Oh, this could be like the Potters of the Round Table, something like that.
Oh, yeah.
Something corny. We have to make it corny. It's like this all goes back to the Goonies episode.
Oh yeah.
Episode 13, the Goonies.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Wait, you're lying. This is episode 13.
Yeah.
Did you know that 13 is one of my lucky numbers?
Really?
So everyone sees 13 as like a freaky, scary number. 13? Oh my God, that's so weird. Like everything in my life has been a 13 number. I kid you not. So you saying that is kind of blowing my mind.
It's almost like creepy and exciting at the same time.
That is, I had no clue this was episode 13.
Episode 13.
Wow. It was fate. It was fate that I was meant to be here tonight.
It's kind of like, all right, what's going to happen now? I'm either nervous or like really excited. I'm feeling like a mixture of emotions.
Maybe this episode will blow up.
Maybe that's saying we'll have to do Inside Out next.
Yeah, if this episode gets 1,000 views, we'll do the truffle shuffle. Both of us.
Both of us will do the truffle. Actually, I will do that if we do get 1,000 views.
If we get 1,000 views, we will do the truffle shuffle.
That means we become monetized. Actually, that is the fact too.
Really?
Yeah. So
what?
That's gonna be pretty crazy, actually. Oh man, I do have 2-3 more categories.
All right, let's do it.
We've kind of run over this category: questions needing answers. You've mentioned a few. You mentioned like, how did Chunk get out?
Yeah, how did Chunk get out? Just a little bit of question about Andy's character. Yes, it plays into her character, but like, girl, you really need to pick.
Yeah.
But then there's the obvious big question at the end that everyone has is who's driving the ship.
Yeah.
And I mean, they meant to end it like that. Like,
right.
Everyone has that question.
Willy is driving it.
Willy is?
I think that's...
Do you think it's Willy?
I think it's Willy, but like the spirit of Willy.
Do you think it's like the spirit? Okay, I was about to say, do you think it's like skeleton Willy or like the spirit of Willy?
Or is it supposed to be kind of like...
I think
it's
maybe that adventurous free spirit that the boys had. I think it's that was within the pirates. I think that's what's driving it on. Driving it to another journey.
Willy was released.
Huh. Free Willy. He directed all the Free Willys too.
Really?
Yes.
I did not notice that actually.
He did. I'm sorry. Donner?
Yeah, Richard.
How do you say his last name?
Donner?
Donner?
Yeah.
Donner directed all the Free Willys.
I did not notice that.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I just saw like all the other ones. Shoot, I should definitely go back and really pay attention. Oh boy. I guess the questions I had, like, there's large stones that fell. I thought they were blocking the way.
Really? And which part?
Remember, like, whenever like Chester Copperpot gets dropped, one of those falls on him.
Oh yeah, how did he
like
get through?
How'd they get through? How did Sloth and Chunk get through?
That is a good question.
The part where she's like, follow those size fives.
Follow size fives.
It's like they're in there. They get past, and like there's more of like a pathway around the stones. Like when you look at the stones, they fall and they completely block the exit.
Oh, wow. I've actually never really noticed that.
Like there are a bunch of hand waving moments in this whole movie.
Yeah.
It's like campy 80s adventure.
Yeah.
How did no one see like this cave that went into, which I did notice when they do have like the scene with the pipes, like they had all these pipes. How did they get all the way into the bottom of down underneath, all of that. Yeah. The pipe does blow away like a blockage to the actual cave.
And how is this not causing like attention to what's going on? Because we see in the movie how Chunk tries to call the cops and get them down there. Obviously, if a pipe is exploding and bursting in the country club of all places, people would already be looking into this situation.
Yeah, there's that.
Where are they?
My thing was like, how is this cave not discovered before? Because the wishing well.
And the wishing well, and then at the very end, in the lagoon, they have that light that pokes out. I know, I go to a place around here and they have caves and stuff like that. And, as a little kid, I see a ring of light shining up a wall. I'm going to go explore it.
Yeah.
I'm going to go explore it.
Yeah.
So, like, how has no one been able to look in with the angle of that little spot?
Yeah.
You would be able to see the ship.
the ship. And then, like, his guys could have, like, escaped.
Yeah.
Like, they could have had, like, the other, the armada. They could have, like, filed in one by one, I guess. I don't know. There's some like stuff where like, okay.
But do I care about this?
No,
not at all. Hand wave. You do whatever you want, you guys. Like I could not care less.
Yeah.
Again, this is us searching for a problem.
Exactly.
Looking too hard for a problem.
I know. That is true. It's just a lot of hand waving.
Yeah.
I did have one. Data at one point was kind of like going off. He kind of is like freaking out. I forget what scene. Shoot, he's freaking out. He's like, "Jeez, some guy up there says, my invention's like, he's like, I have stupid inventions." I kind of was like, "Is that his dad?" The way they interacted afterwards, but like, I wrote that down, and then like, not remembering exactly what his dad says. But then like, I was reminded what his dad actually does say, like, "You are my greatest invention." Yeah. Was that kind of like
that could make sense?
Kind of felt like
I've never pieced that together.
Kind of felt like that was real like. Placed there strategically, he says that, but his dad like you don't have to worry. I approve of. I approve of you.
Watch the movie yet another time right after this.
I'm kind of feeling the same way. I just watched it today.
You want to pour another glass and watch it again?
Let's do it. I have work at like early, but I'm down to do it for the Goonies.
Let's go. Anything for the Goonies.
Oh man.
The Goobers.
We can. The podcast co-host and host will be the Goobers. That'll be it. When we go on that trip, it'll be the Goobers trip. Okay, this is basically one of the biggest, I think. Well, I mean, we'll be fine. Notable acting performances.
Yes.
I just put down, like, all the kids did great.
Yeah,
for
the kids
being
absolutely.
Kid actors.
Mm-hmm.
Like being child actors. They all went on to have pretty successful careers within acting, except for I'd say like Jeff Cohen.
What a shame. But
what a shame. One of the best out of the whole movie. Not to be very selective and show a lot of favoritism, but he does great. Why does he not go into act more?
Yeah.
I mean, obviously Sean Astin. Have you seen Rudy?
I have, but I'm not terribly familiar with. Like, it's been a long. Like, I had that movie on VHS. I'm pretty sure.
Okay, a really good movie.
Uh-huh.
You should go back and watch it. It shows like the actor in Sean Astin. Like, he's so good. It's about a football, and like the ending is where he only get. I'm not gonna spoil it. Never mind. But like the ending is just like that was it. That was a fantastic movie. It's like, why was the ending that? But why did I love it so much?
Yeah.
Why did the ending feel like an actual payoff where like it really did not feel like it?
Okay. Yeah.
It's a true story too. He does phenomenal. Like watching his character, perfect in that.
Yeah. For notable acting, obviously Sean Astin. I mean, did great. Again, like even his older brothers looking at him like, dang, I wish I could be as cool as that.
Yeah.
And just a natural born leader. Like it's great. And and again, he has that youthful spirit. Yet there's also times where he does break down, and he is a little bit more, serious.
Yeah.
Yet everyone's attention is on him.
Right.
And then Jeff Cohen, obviously, just the comedic value is just
perfect comedic timing.
Insane. Let's see. And I put down Corey Feldman as well. Yes, because there is times where Matthew, you're like, oh, whatever, mouth, and he's doing all these like impressions and being all this. But the few times where, like I mentioned before, in the well, and then even after that, when he's talking to Steph, at
Stephanie.
the end, and he's calling her like she's pretty and stuff like that,
like hey.
It's just so very real. Cause like, he's playing up to this character. He is playing the character.
Trying to show himself
like,
up
even in the film, he's playing a character. So that's what you see. But when you see him not playing up to this mouth character and just being real, it's very touching.
Yeah.
And then I also wanted to talk about Martha Plimpton, Steph.
Yeah, Steph,
What I can appreciate about her is, all these characters, they have their little thing, right? Well, Steph, she doesn't really have something that's very tangible. Like, you can't really grasp on, you don't really know what it is. But that's what makes her character so impressive.
Yeah.
It doesn't stand out, really.
She doesn't need to.
But the fact that she still pulls it off and doesn't need to stand out.
She's more of the logical
makes it
one.
Very admirable. Because there's times when Andy, Cary Green, is, like freaking out and talking like this, and it almost feels like a little bit overplayed. But again, that's her character, very ditzy. The fact that Steph doesn't have to do any of that, yet is still such an important part of the movie, is, I think, very admirable. I think that's awesome, the way that she did that.
The way that I kind of think about her character, I did not like her as a kid. I thought she was too logical. I thought she was too... But now I realize, like, shoot, I'm kind of thinking like her now.
Yeah.
Like, I kind of relate to her a little more because she's logical. She's more of like the adult of the whole group.
Yeah.
And so like that's what she was there. I guess one way to describe it in kind of an analogy way is she's the drums. She keeps the beat.
She's
the underlying. She keeps the rhythm of everything.
No matter what happens, Steph is gonna be there, and Steph is gonna continue to push the story forward.
Yeah.
Like, yes, you have all these things popping out at you, but Steph is the underlying beat, which is very cool because when people think about it, Steph does not automatically.
She's a little bit of the voice of reason that like you don't really hear.
She's definitely there. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I know. I do admire her character. Yeah. And I like how over the years I've grown to admire her even more because I just never really liked her as a kid. Yeah.
Because I mean, sure, before like watching it, she never stood out again. But like now going back, and I'm like, okay, like
cool.
She knows what she's talking about. Yet she's still having fun though.
Yeah.
She's still having fun. She's still nice to all the other characters. She knows the stuff is kind of crazy. But the fact that she's still there lets you on to her character even a little more. Like, she's logical, but she's still excited for that adventure. You know, she's still there for it. And I think that's awesome.
Along for the ride. I love her. Carrie Green does good.
Yes,
Andy.
Carrie Green does great.
It's kind of, she plays like her part, not wanting to be a Goonie, but then like becomes a Goonie.
Yeah, becomes a Goonie.
I love it.
She makes the switch.
She does. I mean, who did we not talk about? Mouth.
We talked about
We did talk about him.
Did we talk about Data?
Ke Huy Quan. No.
Yeah, Ke Huy Quan.
I was excited to talk about him.
Yeah, go for it.
He was actually pretty good, He had a little bit of like stereotypical Asian role.
Yeah.
But like
a little bit of a stereotype.
A little bit, but like I loved him as a kid,
No, he was great.
Like,
and I think his character was definitely needed.
Yeah.
If his character was not there,
they
would have fallen apart because he really does save the day a couple of times with his inventions.
He's always wanting to be the hero, but he becomes the hero. He wants to be that 007. He becomes that 007.
Yeah, and that's awesome.
I love it. But no, I was going to talk about but Ke Huy Quan portrays that perfectly. He does great. But then without it feeling too heavy-handed, I don't know.
He does not overplay it.
Yeah, he doesn't overplay it too much. But he plays Shorty in Temple of Doom. But what I'm most excited about is that he's made a reprise. He's made an acting comeback.
Really?
Did you watch Everything Everywhere All at Once?
Okay, get ready for this. Literally just a couple of days ago, I was searching it up, like trying to find some place to watch it, but I had to pay for it, and I was like, ugh.
Oh, I got you. I have it.
Isn't it on Fan? Did you?
I have it on Vudu. I can log into my Vudu.
I was trying to. The point is, I was trying to watch it, but I have yet to watch it.
My viewing experience was awesome when one of my brothers was like, "Hey, that's Data from the Goonies." I'm like, "You sure? Are you being racist because it's an Asian dude?" I looked it up. I was like, "Oh my god, it is Data. It is Shorty." Like I'm watching it the whole time, like. Come such a long way from like the Goonies
to playing
more
like excited to
this
watch
guy who can like he's like the stereotypical Asian dad who's very goofy and nerdy, and then he switches to like kind of a hero, and then like can play all these different characters.
Oh, that's cool.
Play each of them very individually because I think he went back to acting school, and like he's made a comeback. And I am very, very excited.
I'm excited then.
You need to watch it. Just the viewing experience got so much better when you're like, it's Data from the Goonies.
Yeah.
But no, he was. And then I went back and watched like, okay, it's the dad from Everything Everywhere All at Once. And I'm watching like, he was actually good as a kid too.
Yeah.
He was actually really good.
No, he was definitely good.
I really liked him. But yeah, I mean, even the Fratelli family.
Oh, the Fratelli family is great.
John
make me laugh
Matuszak
so much. Yeah.
Was awesome. We talked about him as Sloth. Just he became Sloth. He wasn't in a whole lot, but he was in a lot of little things up until he died in '89. Did you ever watch One Crazy Summer?
No, I haven't.
He was in that. He was in a really good movie that my dad and I were talking about today, Cavemen.
Cavemen? Haven't seen it.
That's a really funny one. Not very popular, but like really funny.
Okay.
It's got one of the Beatles in it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's got Ringo Starr, and they're all cavemen. It's really funny.
They're all cavemen.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hence the name. He plays the bad guy, and he's perfect. He's
really?
so funny.
Oh, that's awesome.
But yeah, I mean, all the Goonies did great as child actors.
Mm-hmm.
Because you can see a child actor, or you could see like actors played by kids. Of course, you just kind of feel disconnected.
Yeah.
But they
were
felt
all very
fully
connected.
plugged in.
Like, I fully believe that they've been friends since like they came out the womb.
Yeah, exactly. Now we've pretty much gone over favorite quotes.
Yeah.
So we've done that. Cinematography was done by Nick McLean. Just very basic. Just captured the emotions and captured the moments. It was fun, adventurous cinematography. Now the score and soundtrack. It just had a fun 80s
I think
kind
it
of
was
score
great.
that stood on its own. The soundtrack, I'll let you talk about that.
Well, Cyndi Lauper, I mean,
it's perfect.
I mean, when you talk about just retro 80s icon, Cyndi Lauper to have with the Goonies, just they matched perfectly. And then even when you talk about just some of their instrumental like background music, like maybe I couldn't sing it right now, but then again, if you played it and if I heard it, I'd be like, oh,
the Goonies.
That's the Goonies.
Yeah.
That's from the Goonies. So, I mean, I think it's safe to say that they have a very notable soundtrack.
They do.
You may not recognize it at first, but I promise you, if it's playing in the supermarket and you're like, wait.
Hold up, what is this?
That's from the Goonies.
Yeah, exactly.
Great soundtrack. And I think it matched
perfect.
the scenes perfectly with the adventurous spirit. Like, it was very upbeat for the most part, their soundtrack.
Right.
And I think that was great.
No, I just, like you said, it was perfect.
It was perfect.
It was perfect. And, it's not heavy-handed or anything like that. But Cyndi Lauper just being in it.
Just made it. Just made it.
Cherry on top. They had REO Speedwagon.
I can see it so well, her on the TV while Brand's working out.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he's working out to her like,
yes.
Hold up now. What does that mean? Hold up.
Okay, Cindy.
As a dude
Brand.
who works out and like, hold up. No, that's a little sus right there, fella. But REO Speedwagon, they're perfect. Just they had everything they needed. And it was just, I don't think, there's definitely room to be better, but
that's all it needed to be.
Yeah.
And they did. They did what was required.
It was not overhanded.
Yeah.
I don't know. But no, story rewrites or inserts.
How could you change any of it?
Well, I mean, you could insert.
Would I like to see the octopus? Maybe.
Yeah. Why did they make that call? Did they make the right call?
Did they make the right call?
They very well could have.
And then, we already talked about the ending. Maybe a different ending scene. Just because I would like to see all of the characters that went on this journey together. I want to see them together.
I feel like it just could have been stamped a little bit harder.
Yes. Like, it was there.
I don't know.
But it could have been a little bit bolder.
It could have left more of a taste.
Which now the ship. Well, I guess that wasn't necessarily the ending. Now, the ship going off by itself, that's a great ending.
Yeah.
Leave people wondering. That's great.
Yeah.
But, right before that, when you see them hugging their parents, I wish I would have seen a little bit more.
It felt very
with each other.
concentrated.
Mm-hmm.
Like, okay, we're trying to hurry this up. We're trying to wrap it up. All right, they're hugging their parents. Great. Okay, great.
And ship sails way in. Okay.
Except they have a few little scenes in there that are just take their time within that just convoluted scene.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. But Octopus Scene. But that's pretty much it I have for story rewrites or inserts.
Yeah. Again, this movie is so just nostalgic and perfect. How could you really change it?
How could you? Next category is recasting.
I can't recast any of them. There's no way.
They're there.
No way. Again,
they're there.
It's about the characters. If you changed one of the characters from the Goonies, I would be pissed. I would come for your throat.
I would be equally pissed too.
It just does. I would not watch it. It does not work.
Why change it? They all go on. I mean, all these kids go on to have great careers because of this, because of their performances in this. Mm-hmm. There's no need. I mean, to think of like someone maybe bigger. Like, I mean, if you have River Phoenix, if you have some of the child actors known from there, if you have like Michael J. Fox, Marty McFly play Brand, I mean, I don't know.
I mean,
there's so many different possibilities.
It would be cool, but just
no,
after
if you want to have
this so many times, I can't.
If you have future Thanos, if you're watching, you're like, that kid goes on to play
Thanos.
I know. That's Samwise Gamgee.
I was watching it today, and my 10-year-old brother was like, that's Thanos, right? Like, yeah, I know.
It's like, I know. And Cable from Deadpool who and then like, I don't know, you just have everyone. Samwise Gamgee in there, like I don't know, it's perfect.
It is. It's perfect. No need to change.
Don't
anything.
touch it.
Don't touch it.
Well, that's it.
That's it. Are we?
We're done with the categories.
Done. We did it.
Great Goonies episode. Great movie.
Yes.
Great movie to talk about at the Bowtie Movie Lounge.
Absolutely. I'm so glad we chose this one.
I know. Well, thank you for bringing it to my attention.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming. You're definitely going to have to come back again.
Absolutely.
You are way, way more than welcome. So you're here. Welcome at the Bowtie Movie Lounge. I'm excited to have you back. I did want to say, I kind of want to start October, scary movie type.
Okay.
This movie kind of is like, I'm thinking going light. Goonies has a few kind of like scary,
a little spooky.
You're on the edge because I guess I just kind of associate with the escape room.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe next week we can do like the Gremlins is what I was thinking.
We gotta save it for Christmas.
But
I'm telling you, it is a Christmas story.
That'll be a December movie.
You're gonna tell me it's a Christmas.
That'll be a
story.
December movie. Who knows?
Maybe we talk about Santa Claus.
I'm excited to be like, maybe I don't like the Gremlins. We'll see.
I am excited. I'm interested to see when we do a movie that I'm not too wild about because I can be cynical at sometimes. We just have to be doing a movie that I
was trying to be cynical about this,
but how could you?
Exactly.
You can't.
I was trying.
But I'm waiting for one of us to be cynical. It's going to be interesting.
That's what I'm excited. I'm excited for someone to bring on a movie. I'm like, okay, really, that one?
Maybe I should just go find like a god awful movie.
Maybe that would just make fun of. But then I don't know. We'll talk about that even more.
We'll see.
Someone give us a movie that we don't like. The way you can do that is you can email us at mailbag@bowtiemovielounge.com, or you can even DM us, which is the Bowtie Movie Lounge on Instagram. I think you can follow us on Twitter. The same thing. Go to our webpage.
So many socials.
Follow our social. It's to be updated. Yeah, it's awesome. You can just do that. You can follow our bios to like our webpage and all that good stuff. Trying to figure out a movie to do next. We'll see.
We will see.
We'll see.
To be announced.
I know. I need to make more of a list.
Yeah.
I feel like. So we'll do. We're gonna do
that
a combined
way we can
list.
do little sneak peeks.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to do. I've already mentioned something I've been trying to do. Interview with a Vampire. Comes the miniseries comes out.
Yeah.
Came out today.
Oh, it came out today.
The day that we're recording this, the new Interview with a Vampire came out.
What is it on?
I think
is it on AMC?
AMC, one of them. But anyway, I worked on that.
Yeah.
I worked on it and it was
and I almost worked on it. So yeah, I'd love to watch it. It was fun.
But I want to do maybe like the original with Tom Cruise and Brad Pitt.
I own that one. Okay.
It's on the digital library that you're in. But yeah, so that's it for the show. Thank you all for joining us at the Bowtie Movie Lounge. We just did the Goonies. It's Jacob Strupek as your host and Claire Bertrand as my co-host. Very special guest / very special guest. So we're going to do this again. You're going to be back.
Absolutely.
And we will see you all next time at the Bowtie Movie Lounge.